But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It's Thursday night, and that is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the bizarre feeling that we live in the upside down. This show is live tonight. If you'd like to be part of the show at any point, you can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We are streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and D-Live. Reading the chat, trying to keep up with you guys and all your amazing thoughts. As usual, we've got a fantastic show coming up. We have on the phone line waiting right now. We're going to get right to him, so we respect this time and not keep him waiting here. We have UFO Joe Murgia. He was on the show, I don't know, maybe a year ago. It's been some time now, but old friend of the show. He does live here in Las Vegas, and we still actually have to go grab a beer at some point. But what's up, UFO Joe Murgia? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Michael. How are you doing? I'm glad for you to have me back.
Glad to have you back, sir.
In the world of UFOs.
Yeah, definitely, man. There's a ton of stuff going on. So the reason I reached out to Joe here is because, one, he knows a ton of stuff about the UFOs. If you guys haven't checked out his blog, he runs a blog called ufojoe.net. Please check that out. He does transcriptions and writes articles, and he's really, like I like to call him, the tip of the spear for the information in the UFO world. And so if you guys are interested in kind of keeping abreast of what is happening on a daily basis, this is the man to follow, ufojoe.net. And what is your new Twitter? I know you got a new Twitter recently.
My new Twitter is the UFO Joe.
There it is.
It's at the UFO Joe.
At the UFO Joe. There it is. So please follow him. And again, make sure that you go visit his blog from time to time, because some of the things that really don't get discussed, he's writing about, he's talking about. And I appreciate what you do, my friend. Let's get to Mystery Wire and what the heck is going on here. What is this business with so George Knapp from Mystery Wire just released within the last 3 days some new photographs of UAPs, right? Unidentified aerial phenomena, the old school term UFOs. What are these things? And of course, the Twitter world is all up in a hizzy about it, like they do. And there's the fights going on and all this other stuff. I'm just a little bit perplexed about what these photographs are. The more you look at them, the more you're scratching your head. At least I am, anyway.
Well, in early December 2020, researcher Lieutenant Tim McMillan wrote an article about the goings-on behind the scenes with UAP data being briefed to some high people in our government. And one of the things included in the article is that there were some pictures taken. The next day, he released one of the pictures. It was taken from an F-18. But apparently, the F-18 pilots and WISOs, weapon systems officers, were told, hey, if you encounter any of these objects while you're out, try to get pictures with them with your iPhones. Okay, so Tim published one of the photos, and it was weird. A lot of people thought it looked like a Batman balloon, a Mylar Batman balloon. And I'm thinking, well, I would think a Navy pilot, and it eventually made it up into the UAP task force, which we can talk about later, into their evidence, they would know if it was a balloon. And the balloon was investigated. The pilots were able to get closer, and they did not think it was a balloon. My source did not think it was a balloon, investigated this. So we had that one photo. And then later in December, George Knapp did his Mystery Wire podcast, and he said he had another photo, but he wasn't allowed to release it. So he had made an agreement with whoever he got the photo from that he could not release it. Well, a few days ago, he released two other photos, and one is the same. They call it the Acorn. It looks like a Batman balloon, but it's slightly different than the other one. And there's another one that looks like it's I'm trying to think. We have the Acorn, and then there's another one that some people say is out of focus, the Sphere, they call it. And then another one looks like it looks like a Goodyear blimp, but it has appendages on it. And the most important thing, Michael, is these are really interesting photos, and apparently they're being part of a briefing that we could talk about later. Jeremy Corbell broke the story today. So they're being taken seriously, and the problem is we need to hear from the pilots and the WISO who took the photos. We need to hear from them. That's really important. That's the difference between 2004, the Tic Tac case. When that broke in 2017, we had David Fravor, who encountered the Tic Tac. We had his backseater. Not his backseater, the person in the other F-18, the backseater, go in the New York Times and talk about what they saw. And then we had the other pilot from the other plane that provided cover for him. She spoke on unidentified. So we had pilots talking about it. We've had radar people talking about it. People who were on the ship have spoken about it publicly, too. Most of them were publicly, except for the female pilot. She was anonymous. In this case, we don't have that. So right now, it's really interesting. It's exciting, but we still need to hear from those people, to hear what they saw. Was the Sphere out of focus is that what they saw with their eyes, or is that something the iPhone, produced? So we need to hear from them, and once we do, we can get more clarity. But that's where we are right now with that.
Yeah, so I have the link up in case you guys want to check it out. As always, you know me, I like to post my sources here so you don't think I'm making these things up. It is on Mystery Wire, and again, that is the great work of the great George Knapp. So I'm going to share the link in the chat as we go, and if you guys want to follow up and you're listening on an archive, it will be in the show notes, so you can definitely go check it out. And please go look at these photographs with your own eyes. I have them up on the stream, but it doesn't do it justice. You need like a full screen resolution and really look at these things, because okay, now for myself, all right, I've been saying this, I said this to you the last time you were on the show, is I just want to see more of this stuff, okay? My point about the TTSA and how I was critical of them, and I still am in some regard, and I've changed my mind entirely on Lou Elizondo, by the way. But so the thing that really got under my skin about this was that if they had 3, they had 30. If they had 30, they have 30,000 terabytes of information, and I want to see it. At least in some good faith effort, start showing us some more of this. And I'm happy as a clam with this. Whatever you think these are, UFOs, whatever you want to call these things, UAPs. There's been some speculation they're actually some technology from China or drones or these other things, right? It doesn't matter to me. This is part of the conversation that we need to have going forward, and more of the type of stuff we need to see. I was really bored of those three, the Tic Tacs. I was bored of that so fast. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see more. But now we have this situation where we have more. And I'm excited for what the future may bring here, because this in turn, maybe this is going to change something. Maybe this is going to change the conversation anyway, and be able to have us put pressure on the government to maybe give us some more of this. But this is good, right? Another three. One of these photographs, like the Batman one, you said, the Batman balloon quote, they're calling it the metallic blimp. No. What are they calling this? This is the acorn. The acorn, right? So the acorn itself.
The acorn.
Yeah. So this one has been out for a little while, but these other two are brand new. And so, like I said, I want to see new stuff. If I see new stuff, I'm happy, even if it's not compelling enough for your, to whet your appetite of what the future may bring. To me, the more, the better. So I'm happy about this. This is good stuff.
And the issue I had was I wasn't expecting, the most amazing UFO pictures in the world. George Knapp did not hype it. He said, listen, I had this photo. I'm not allowed to release it. I will at the time. I saw what the other photo was like, so I wasn't expecting anything amazing. But some people on Twitter are disappointed, and they're like, I'm really disappointed in George. I'm like, why? He never hyped it. I mean, they are what they are. Of course, you spoke of Luis Elizondo. For people who don't know, he ran the Pentagon's UFO program from, I think it was 2010 to 2017. And he said recently, a few months ago, he said, our representatives are being briefed, and when they come out of the briefing room, they're amazed, and they're saying, a lot of them are saying, this isn't ours. Obviously, they're not being shown those photographs. They're being shown some really good stuff. He said some of it is within 50 feet of the cockpit. Excuse me. That's the stuff you and I want to see. But realistically, they're classifying it. Do I think it should be classified? No, I think there are ways they could show us those photos and videos without giving away sources and methods, which is the reason they always give being classified. But you and I know it's got to be more than that. It's got to be more that they're afraid once they show one close video of an object, making a 90-degree turn, it's going to wake up a lot of people. And we have Senator Rubio, who's he is the co-head of the Senate Intelligence Committee. I forget what it is. He's the second guy in charge of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He was the head last year when he started talking about it. And he's like, listen, there are things over our sensitive military airspace. We don't know what it is. It's not ours. We need to know what it is. Simple, full stop. Simple. We need to know what it is. Is it possible it's Russian in China? Or Chinese? Yeah, it's possible, but as he said, he goes, the more preferable answer is that it's from off-planet, because if it's Russian or Chinese, we've been leapfrogged so much, we are screwed. And that tells you what technology they're looking at that we have not seen. And that's hopefully, hopefully when this report comes out, it's supposed to be June 25th, whether or not it's delayed or not, but hopefully we get to see just one, it just takes one clear video backed up by a pilot and his backseater saying, that's what we saw. We cannot do that. That'll do make a lot of progress for us with the general audience, mainstream population who still ignores the subject.
Yeah, agreed. And like I said, the more the merrier. And if we're just seeing pictures like this, and so there's some other interesting tidbits about these photographs, right? The ones we're looking at from Mystery Wire, they're up on the screen. I'm sharing the links as we go so you guys can check this stuff out with your own eyes. Please do go look. It's important. This may be an important thing for the future, right? As more of this information comes out and some of this looks more or less like the Tic Tacs or otherwise, right? So please go look at this stuff. If you're just joining us tonight, we are talking with Joe Murgia, UFO Joe Murgia of UFOJoe.net, and talking about this Mystery Wire stuff, right, that was just released by George Knapp. And you have a great point on all of this, is that there's a lot of this hype going on in the UFO community, right? Everybody's trying to hype their thing. Like, oh, it seems like for the past, several weeks, almost every day on UFO Twitter, if anybody follows this stuff, there's been like, oh, by the way, tomorrow something big is coming, right? And it's been like whispers almost every day. Am I exaggerating here? It just seems like every time I tune into that world for just a second, I'm like, really? Again? Something big coming tomorrow again? But to your credit there, and what George Knapp has done, he didn't hype this at all. You're completely right. And I agree with that. Why should you? I think that the photographs of Knapp should be hyping themselves, because who knows what the heck this stuff is, right?
Right. And, I'm guilty of hyping. Last year, it wasn't my material I was hyping. I was hyping the New York Times article, which behind the scenes I was told was going to be amazing. And Leslie Kane finally came out a couple of months ago and said, "Yeah, listen, our article had a lot more stuff in it. It touched on crash retrievals, and it had a quote from Eric Davis saying he briefed 2 intelligence committees about the retrieval of off-world vehicles." I mean, I have people in my family who have not had interest in this text me and say, "Did you see that quote?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "I saw it. I saw it. I know Eric Davis. I'm friends with him, and that's an amazing quote." Basically ignored by the mainstream, and there was a lot more in that article, but it was edited down. So, I have hopes that information will make it out either in a future article from Leslie and Ralph Blumenthal, or somebody else will do it, hopefully. I've heard some things that may be coming out later in the year, but I don't know, and I don't know how good it is. And I've learned my lesson. I got excited about it. I don't want to apologize for getting excited.
No, you shouldn't.
And I did add, the editors had control of that article. In the end, it's always the editors. And George Knapp was hammering it home saying, listen, that's a really tough lift for them to get that information in there. So the fact that they were able to get multiple quotes from Senator Harry Reid and Luis Elizondo and Eric Davis in there talking about, materials and craft and possible retrievals, that was an amazing thing. So, yeah, and UFO Twitter, stuff's been hyped, but, stuff's been happening, and it's definitely progress. Elizondo says it's a long haul. People have to be patient. So I'm really patient, but I'm also excited.
Yeah, agreed. Like I said, I just want new stuff, and this is new. Like that the one we're going to call it the acorn. The folks in the chat are calling it the Batman balloon, right? And was that a smear campaign, by the way, calling this a Batman balloon? What was that? I mean,
I don't know. It goes on nonstop. There are people that don't like George. There are people that don't like Jeremy Corbell. There are people that don't like, you name it. There are people that don't like Luis Elizondo. So no matter what they say or no matter what they do, people will come out and say, "Oh, these are anonymous sources. We can't trust them. Bigelow is included. George Knapp got the pictures. George Knapp got the pictures at a meeting that included Bigelow. Why is he bringing up Bigelow? That's ridiculous. He's just trying to bring up Bigelow's name. This has no credibility. It's just ridiculous. Like George has been at this into UFO since 1987. He has a lot of sources. He's where you can get a lot of information. And a lot of people hold the Bob Lazar story against him. Like, well, he believes Bob Lazar, so I don't believe anything else he has to say, which is insane. It's one story. This is decades of research from George, decades of sources, and Jeremy Corbell has built up his sources. So I just don't get it. I mean, there are people I disagree with, but I'm not gonna attack their work because I disagree with him on something else. Tim McMillan, him and I have butted heads, but he's done 3 great articles. Mark Cicotti and Adam Kehoe, we've had our differences. They put out a great article on the drones in the drive. So it's like the more the better. Like you said, more pictures, more video, more information. It's going to help us in the long run.
Exactly. And I actually, this is a miss by me, but recently there was an actual form going around that you could like an autofill form you could just send to your senators and House reps. Is that still happening? Do you know that maybe we could share that? I'll dig it up and we can share it in the show. I meant to in the past, and I completely just had a brain fart in that situation. But it was something where you could just fill it out and kind of auto send it and let your senators know that you're interested in this and that they should be interested as well, because we are, because supposedly they represent us, right? As the story goes.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't know how many years ago, it was like 5 or 6 years ago, Christopher Mellon was on. I think he was on another show, and he was asked about should we write our senators and congressmen, and he was like, "Well, yeah." He goes, "But I work for some of them, and a lot of stuff will just end up in the garbage can." But don't stop doing it. Especially now. It's just we need more. I think the problem is we don't have enough people. We're still a small percentage of the population. If we can grow the percentage larger and larger, and then we start, I still think we can have impact with our numbers. And I do think I know what you're talking about, and I'm sure that's still on Twitter. But I still think we need a lot more people on our side, and that's what's so great about more videos, more articles. The mainstream media has been really good lately. On cable news, for some reason, it's only been Fox News and some of the right-wing smaller outlets like Newsmax, but MSNBC and CNN, for the most part, have been MIA within the last, these stories have broken. They have not done any stories. They don't have Elizondo on. He's consistently on Fox News. So hopefully that changes, which we need him to be everywhere. And I don't know why that's happening.
Yeah, agreed. And it is a little bit weird that, UFOs get clicks, right? I mean, this has been probably one of the most viral things in the history of the internet, where they say like boobs and UFOs built the internet, right? Something like that. And I think it's completely true. I mean, right? But for some reason, like this stuff gets censored still. Like you said, CNN not picking up a lot of these things when they should, and even YouTube kind of cracking down on some of the takes that are put up there. I don't know if they're fake videos or if they're people just way too far out there. But there still seems to be like a little coalition against this, and I don't know who it is or who's really pulling those strings from on high. But it seems like somebody out there is definitely against this information coming out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it is that. I don't know if that's why CNN or MSNBC doesn't cover it, because they're so busy covering politics. There are people within the Pentagon, we've heard from multiple sources, that do not want UFOs to be studied, and it's from a religious aspect. They don't want. I don't know if they think it's demonic, and we just should not study it. And that same thing was going on back when the military had their psychic remote viewing program going on. It was killed in part because the same type of people thought it was demonic and, did not want us to study it. So that's still going on. I mean, Lou Elizondo's predecessor lost his job because of that. They tried to ruin his career. That's the guy who had the experience at Skinwalker Ranch. So that's a really strong, those people still have some power within the Pentagon in our government. As far as the cable news, I don't know if there's any connections at all to those folks. I don't know. I'm just speculating about that.
Well, I mean, that's my job, man. I'm supposed to speculate here. So if you don't want to say it, I'll say it. I think there's definitely some pressure from somewhere, right? And there's powerful people that rub elbows with those Pentagon types, and maybe wink, wink. You know what I'm saying? So I'll say it. You don't have to say it. But okay, that's fair enough. Okay, so we got to take.
But if that was the case. But if that was the case, I just don't know why they would cover it. I mean, Erin Burnett had Luis Elizondo saying, in my opinion, I believe we may not be alone. So that was a pretty big deal. So I don't know why they would cover it and then not cover it now, but who knows? I don't know.
Exactly. So we're going to take a quick break here. We're on the phone here with UFO Joe Murgia of UFOJoe.net. I like to call him the tip of the spear with UFO information, because he's always. I'm pretty sure I can't get one by this guy. I can throw him a couple curveballs, and I'm nearly certain he's going to know what I'm talking about. Very knowledgeable about the UAP world right now. Follows it nearly every day religiously, and you should too. You should follow UFOJoe.net. Check this guy out. He definitely has a lot of information. I promise you, if you follow just his blog, you will be smarter than most of the UFO people out there, period, just because he does such an in-depth job. So good stuff. I appreciate that, Joe. You're listening to Troubled Minds tonight. I'm Michael Strange. This is Joe Murgia, and we're talking about, of course, the things we love to talk about, and that would be UFOs, UAPs. So we're going to take a quick break. If you want to be part of the show, are you okay to take calls, Joe?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so if you want to ask Joe a question or myself a question, you can give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And once again, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. This is Joe. We're talking UFOs. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. I'm going to mute you up, Joe. Come get you in like 5 minutes.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, DLive. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. I'm Michael Strange, your host. We are here tonight with UFO Joe Murgia of ufojoe.net. Go check out his blog. Good stuff. Like I said, tip of the spear with UFO information. You read that one source, you're going to be smarter than everybody else regarding actual UFOs and what's happening with the legislation and all that other good stuff. So here we go. Let's do it. We are taking your phone calls tonight. If you want to be part of this, Joe said he can take some questions if you guys are interested. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we're doing our thing, talking UFOs, UAPs, and all kinds of other stuff. Welcome back, Joe. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, and I definitely want us to get to the story today, the report that Jeremy Corbell released about that amazing video. I don't know, have you seen the video yet of the triangle, the pyramid?
I did, actually. So I've got that, and I was going to ask you about that a little bit later. I was going to ask you, too, how long you think you can stay? It's still about an hour?
Yeah, 8:30 we can do.
Okay.
So an hour from now?
Okay, just checking, because I want to make sure I pace it correctly. I didn't want to, blow all the good stuff in the first 20 minutes.
No problem.
Yeah.
We'll go get.
Okay.
You can wait if you want.
No, all good. That's the only reason I ask. Okay, so is there anything besides that you kind of want to add to what we talked about in the last 30 minutes here? I know, there's a lot of people that just don't believe this stuff is real whatsoever, right? We got some people listening out there that just think this is all a bunch of BS, right? They're not falling for it because it's coming from the government and all this other stuff, right? What would you say to those folks?
Well, I mean, I understand people being skeptical, but our F-18 pilots in the Navy are seeing this stuff a lot, and they don't know what it is, and they're asking for help, and the Navy's been very open. The Air Force has not been. I mean, I think there's some help behind the scenes, but nothing like the Navy. And it's across the board. It's not, we have Rubio and Ratcliffe, Republicans, but we also have Mark Warner. We have Senator Harry Reid. Senator Harry Reid started this with a Republican and a Democrat back in 2007, and they wanted to know what was going on, and they wanted to study UFOs and the paranormal. They're not trying to pull anything over on us. If you listen to Reid, he doesn't come to a conclusion. If you listen to some of the more serious people, they don't come to a conclusion. I mean, I heard you talking during the break. Some of this could be our tech. Yeah, I think we have some amazing tech that it's going to blow people away. I don't know that for a fact, but that's definitely a possibility. I don't think all of this is our tech. Some of these sightings go back hundreds and hundreds of years. We can't speak with the witnesses, so it's not, you can't be sure they're UFOs, but they certainly sound like UFO sightings, and maybe even thousands of years. You go to some of the sacred books like the Bible, there's some stuff in there that sounds like UFOs. So I don't know what they are. I think some of them are not ours. I think it was Tim McMillan and Tom Rogan, who's another mainstream reporter who has covered this. They said, it's part of these things. Some of these things are not, they're not state actors or non-state actors. It's trying to figure out, saying it's not human. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's another type of human. It's really hard to put a word on it or a phrase. It's not part of our society. Some of these are not part of our society. Whether they're time travelers, whether they've been here before humans, people are like, well, they can't get there from here. They can't make that travel. It's too far. The distances are too vast. Well, who says they're even coming from anywhere? They might be here. They might have been here the entire time. There's a lot of possibilities. But I like to say some of these sightings are anomalous, and I think the Navy ones, if that's our own technology consistently screwing with our Navy, that's messed up. I mean, if it is, I don't think it would be, a very, very black budget group that has, and Luis Elizondo says, we wouldn't test our technology near our own, training areas. But I'm thinking, well, just for argument's sake, if it was our technology, I would think they're not testing it. I would think they've already mastered it. So there's no fear on their part that they would be shot down or whatever, or cause some incidents. But there has been close call incidents, So, just look at the evidence over the last 70-plus years. There are great books you can read, and you'll come to the conclusion something is going on. I mean, I could speculate. I love to speculate on Twitter about what we might be dealing with, and it's some of it's out there, but in the end, I don't know. So when people do on Twitter, they'll come to me and they say, "I know what's going on. this is going on, and this is what we're dealing with. I'm like, well, that's great. I can't really respond to that. I don't know what's going on, and I leave it at that. But I do have opinions and speculation.
Yeah, well, you're human, right? I mean, God bless you. It's part of being human, right? We have opinions, man, and it's okay. It's okay. Like I think the biggest thing that bothers me in these conversations is they're just so not civil. It's like you have the Corbell camp, like you said, you got the Knapp camp, you got this camp, that camp, you got the Mick West camp, which I've got a tweet by Mick West about the stuff that came out today. So we'll look at that. But I mean, there's so many people that are just so like entrenched in one source or two sources, or like they're just not really willing to open up their vision to these other things people are saying and thinking. There's a lot of good information out there, and I think if you're only taking sources from God bless him, George Knapp, he's fantastic. I think he's done an amazing amount of things for the UFO community over the years, right? Whether you agree with the things he's said or done or not, but for instance, him, even if you get all your information directly from him, it doesn't mean like you're closer to the truth than anybody else, right? I mean, it's a good place to start for sure. But, I mean, what can you do, right? You got to take all the information as it comes and then make up your own mind and be willing to change your damn mind at some point, right? If something comes out, like I said, I changed my mind about Lou Elizondo. When he was kind of attached at the hip with Tom DeLonge, he kind of got in my craw a little bit weird, right? But he's broken away from that, and he's been an unbelievable transparency in that mode since he kind of came out of TTSA. And to me, that's good stuff, man. Like, that's good. I want people to change my mind, and I'm hoping that keeps happening with more information like today. And we'll get to the Jeremy Corbell in one sec, but I'll let you respond to all those things I just said.
Yeah, I told somebody, people still think that Luis Elizondo and Christopher Mellon, they're playing some psyop game, and they're just trying to trick us and trying to cover up U.S. technology by blaming it on the aliens. And I said to somebody, I said, if those guys are lying to us all this time, then they deserve an Academy Award, because I don't sense any deception on their parts. I know both of them are certain sensitive things that they will not talk about, and I get that. And Mellon, especially when it came to crash retrievals, somebody asked, he's very standoffish when you ask him about crash retrievals and a possible UAP crash retrieval program deep within our government. But recently he was asked about it. Is it possible that we may find that our government has some technology? I forget the wording, but he said, we may. And for him, that was a big step. We may. Elizondo has been more open when he was on Tucker Carlson saying, he believes we have debris from a UFO. And then you have Dr. Eric Davis, who says, oh yeah, we have stuff. The Russians have stuff. We have a UAP crash retrieval program. And then we have the whole Wilson Davis documents, which I believe we spoke about a lot on the last show. But it's great to change your mind. It's great to have, when it comes to what we're dealing with, I change my mind all the time. Probably, every few days I'm like, you go back and look at some of my older Twitter comments. I had opinions that I still consider them, but in the end, I always come back to, I don't know. I don't know what we're dealing with. I don't know if we're dealing with one intelligence. I don't know if we're dealing with multiple intelligences, one intelligence that's pretending to be multiple intelligences. And like I said, I'll even consider the fact that it's all human technology, but I give that a really low probability.
Yeah, so there are some things that kind of have come out that I've talked about in the past too. I'm pretty sure you're aware of that guy named David Hambling. He writes for Forbes. He does like defense and aerospace. He suggested that some of this is. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, is he the one who said that the Navy can create like a plasma that looks that shows up on the FLIR?
That's the guy. Yeah. So he's agreed to do an interview. We got to set up in a time, and I'll talk to him about that and get some more specifics. But I think things like that, right? It's a little bit outside of the box, but he's talking from a defense technology standpoint, and I think those are important places to look, right? You kind of got to turn over all the rocks. But just curious if you've heard of him and that whole theory there.
Yeah, it's funny because I was going through some of my articles trying to close some windows on my laptop, and I stumbled upon that article and I'm like, I need to share it because I'm pretty sure I shared it when it came out. So it definitely gives you pause. If it was just FLIR, are they able to trick a FLIR? That's why we need the radar. That's why we need the witnesses. When they, if a witness says, I saw it with my own eyes, that's a big difference. That's why David Fravor is one of the most important witnesses in the history of UFOs. The guy was he led a squadron, and he saw the UFO up close. The other plane saw it from above. His backseater, who has not spoken out publicly, he or she saw it, and he got within a half a mile of it. So yeah, I'm curious to see what he has to say, and I will definitely be listening to that show.
Okay, I'll let you know when it's coming. We got a phone call here.
Okay.
We got the Copper Mustache from YouTube. Let's get him on. And what's up, Copper Mustache? You're on with Joe and Mike. You got a question for Joe? Let's make this fast because we want to make sure we get Joe as much time as possible. How are you tonight, my friend?
Yeah, actually, it's going to be real fast. My question is, hey, Joe, nice to hear from you. The cameras that they used, they were iPods and stuff. And then I think one of your comments was, hey, guys, pick up your iPods. And yet we're flying around the most sophisticated equipment in the world, airplanes, and we're telling them to take pictures of these things because we know they're out there with iPhones. I mean, even Goose had a nice fancy camera when he went upside down with Matt. and here, I think it was a Polaroid. But anyway, I'm not trying not to be negative here. Trying to really figure this one out. Why would they be sent up with just their iPhones? Well, I mean, there's got to be cameras in that thing that are way more advanced than an iPhone camera.
No, they definitely have. They have FLIR. They have a heads-up display video, and we're not going to see that stuff, at least right now. So, Jeremy Corbell was saying there's a lot more videos and photos, but for some reason they're allowing them to release the iPhone pictures. I don't know if they have iPhone videos. And, we speculate why can they release that and not something from the FLIR? So I don't know. Is it because, it's like, well, that's your personal stuff, but it's also would be part of classified situation, but these are not classified. George and Jeremy spoke about it today, and they're like, these are not classified. So I would have to speculate as why they were letting that out. And I guess the argument would be, well, the FLIR is going to tell you the capabilities of the F-18, which is, I think that's nonsense. On some of those videos, I think it's nonsense. On some, obviously, yeah, they don't want to give away where they are exactly. Or they don't want to give away whatever. If they're chasing this object, they don't want to give that away. The current capabilities of the F-18. But yeah, it's not what I want to see. I don't want to see a distant iPhone. But as Michael said, it's better than nothing. But yeah, for us in the community, we're like, really, we know you have better. So it's just a matter of when are we going to get to see that stuff? Apparently, Corbell and Eric Davis, they've spoken about a data warehouse of data, that goes back decades. And then if we have a craft, talk about pie in the sky, talk about naive. Last year, I thought during all the excitement, I'm like, we're going to get to see that craft because I believe we have an intact craft, at least one. So let's just start with the FLIR videos. Let us see them. So that's why we're really curious to see what happens June 25th or whenever that report comes out, to see what data they've collected from the different agencies. And Brian Bender from Politico says a lot of those agencies are not giving up their UFO data. Surprise, surprise. So they're strong-arming. Yeah, they're strong-arming the Director of National Intelligence, whoever's going to them and saying, listen, we want your UFO data. You have to give it up. The Senate Intelligence Committee has asked for it. But they're like, yeah, we're not going to give it up. So we'll see. The Biden administration is going to have to step up. They're the ones that can force them to do it. Hopefully they don't destroy evidence because, we both know there's probably amazing stuff that just like I said earlier, one amazing video of something taking a 90-degree turn from a FLIR or something, just a regular video camera, the heads-up display they have in those F-18s. But they don't all have the @FLIR pod, which has the FLIR. So that's another problem. That day, David Fravor went out. Apparently, he did not have that pod on. There was some sort of helmet cam, but he didn't want to put it on because it made them nauseous. So all we have is his word, and then we have Chad and Underwood getting, a video later on, which is not what Fravor saw as far as the encounter.
That work for you, Copper Mustache? I appreciate the call, man.
Yeah, it certainly does. Thank you very much for the call.
Thanks a lot,
thanks for the call.
Yep, thanks for calling. We'll talk to you soon. All right, so I think there's a lot there, right? And it's a hell of a question. When we here's another one too. How about this one, Joe? We've been watching this rover that's landed the helicopter on Mars, right? Now, for some reason, we're told that on that helicopter, right, that they spent hundreds of millions or maybe even $1 billion to send to Mars. There's supposedly only a 13 megapixel camera on that little helicopter. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
does it?
That's disappointing. And Mars is something I got into when I first got into the subject back in the mid-'90s, and I do think there's stuff on Mars from somebody else. I don't know who it was, and I don't know if it was native to Mars or somebody came there. And that, I get people turned off when I say that, but we can find out. I think we need humans. The helicopter is great, but I think we need humans to go to some of the areas like Cydonia and take a look. There are places, because without humans going there, I don't think we're going to know just from pictures. We've had sites on the planet on Earth where they've had dives off the coast of Japan where they look like step pyramids, and you have geologists diving. One geologist says, "This is artificial. It's clearly artificial." Another geologist diving, "This is clearly natural." So it's going to be tough. We're going to have, I don't know when, if Elon Musk gets us there in a couple of years, great. Hopefully we get to Cydonia. But I think Mars plays a really big role in what's going on this planet. But we can leave that for another show.
Yeah, totally. Just kind of wanted to ask your opinion on that, because it's really kind of the same thing, right? A cell phone camera on this super expensive thing. It makes no sense.
Yeah,
okay,
that's disappointing.
Yeah, totally, right? Okay, so let's get to the Corbell stuff. You wanna explain what this is, and I'll pull it up and maybe play the video here if we can. I think I can.
Okay,
I can do this.
So in 2020, my friend Dave Beatty, who produced The Nimitz Encounters, which everybody, if you haven't watched that, it's a great documentary on what happened back in 2004, November, with the Tic Tac off the coast of California. And he said that one of his contacts, who was a Navy vet on board the USS Chaffee in 2004 when all that went down, well, he told Dave there was another incident in 2009 involving the USS Kidd. It was right close to where the Tic Tac event took place. And then the Navy vet said he knew someone who was on board the Kidd. And Dave took it from there. He sent out a Freedom of Information Act for the deck logs, and he found that the Snoopy team was deployed. Basically, that's these guys, once a Snoopy team it's called Snoopy Team Away, they have 5 minutes to get to the highest point in the ship and then document video and photo. It's usually a couple of guys, and just document everything they can, whatever it is. And at this time, these guys were spotting, they wrote it down as drones or UAVs, which could be either an unidentified aerial vehicle or an unmanned aerial vehicle. So it's like, all right, drones, right? But this guy said he could see them with the naked eye, and they were eye level with the bridge hovering. Actually, Dave's source had a friend who said they looked like, so David did not hear from this other source. The other source said they were like Tic Tacs, like from 2004. Okay, so we had that. But it's a secondary source. The main source did not say that, just that this incident happened. And then March of this year, The Drive, Adam Kehoe and Mark Cicotti, I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, they did a follow-up. The first sighting was July 14th at night, and as many as 6 aircraft or UAV or drones or whatever were spotted at once. And they were flying for long periods of time in low visibility conditions. And I'm quoting from the article, they were performing brazen maneuvers over the Navy warships near a sensitive military training range less than 100 miles from Los Angeles. And the Coast Guard looked into it, the Navy, FBI, and it got a lot of attention and went up to the Chief of Naval Operations, who's the apex of the Navy's chain of command. And other ships activated the Snoopy team, and they reported additional sightings, red light flashing, white light. They wrote down drones, but some of them were over 90 minutes. It was like one of the events was 3 hours. And emails made it to the Chief of Naval Operations, and the members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So then Corbell, so that's all we knew. It was great. That was on The Drive. People were like, oh, it's drones. And then Corbell today dropped a story, and I'll put a quote. It says, on May 1st, 2020, a classified briefing was generated about the UFO UAP presence via the Office of Naval Intelligence. And those familiar with the briefing articulated to him, Corbell, that the goal was to destigmatize the UAP/UFO problem and promote more intelligence collection. And the UAP briefing was to build on previous UAP briefings by the ONI, generated October 2019, and it was distributed across a wide range of intelligence networking platforms. And along with that, basically the briefing was generated to qualify enlisted individuals on the UFO issue. The briefing was generated to destigmatize and promote more intel collection regarding UAPs and it contains numerous recent UAP cases with photo and video evidence to illustrate elements of the UAP issue. And this intelligence briefing, which is being given to these officials, it contains 10 videos, FLIR and HUD, heads-up display camera, and about 10 to 12 photos documenting some of those UAPs. And there's a video on Jeremy's website, extraordinarybeliefs.com, on mysterywire.com. You can find amazing stuff that they put out today. The briefings included an incident with the USS Russell, which was multiple pyramid-shaped craft on video. This was later in July, after the quote-unquote drone sighting. You'll see the video taken. It's a night vision camera. It's a night vision video, I'm assuming, taken by the Snoopy team. It's interesting. There's multiple pyramid-shaped craft. I know Mick West has said it's just a regular plane, but I expected that from him. I expected it. It's right away. It's a plane. It's like, how about you say, well, that's interesting. We don't know at this point. USS Omaha had a spherical-shaped objects that went into the water, and they could not be found, and they looked with a sub to try to find it. So that was that's one of those transmedium objects, goes from air to water. And then the last part of the briefing is those multiple photos that George Knapp shared, and Bigelow was in that meeting, and supposedly George was told that they tried to snag one, but they were unsuccessful. These things are hanging in the air for at least an hour in windy conditions. So that's the briefing. A lot more detail put in the briefings. Most of it's classified. Jeremy said other countries have attempted to shoot these things out of the sky. So that's what Jeremy put out today. Great work by him and George. George and him worked on back. He says he gets, I think, 900 inquiries or emails a month of people saying, hey, I have this information. And he tries to stick with the military because you can document it. And he was able to get these videos, that video, and some stills. I think it's stills from the FLIR. So people need to check out the video. So once again, it's new stuff. And he said there's more to come in the future. So that's, it's really great work by both of them. And once again, they're both getting blasted, anonymous sources. Don Greenwald, who, if it's not in a Freedom of Information Act, it doesn't exist, which, reporters have relied on anonymous sources for a long time. That's just how it is. And obviously, eventually hopefully we get to hear from these people, so they're not anonymous. But right now, it's really interesting. And the Navy doesn't know these guys don't know what's going on. They don't know what these things are, and they want help. So they're going around saying, this is what we're seeing. So if you guys hear anything, you see anything, different intelligence agencies, different scientists say, we need help. It needs to get mainstream. We need to get mainstream science involved so we can try to figure out what the hell is going on. First of all, rule out that it's our tech, that it's not an adversary tech, and then after that, figure out where it's coming from and what are their intentions, which are the two big questions people want to know forever.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry to cut you off there with the music. We're up against a break here. We're talking to UFO Joe tonight. Joe Murgia from UFOJoe.net. I've got the Jeremy Corbell stuff up. We'll look at this further after the break and talk about this. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Mike. We're here with Joe. More UAPs after the break. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for listening tonight, guys.
None of this had happened. So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that is an encouraging thought.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. Asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here tonight with UFO Joe Murgia of UFOJoe.net. And we'd like to say hello to all of you who might also have troubled minds. If you guys are new to this is the show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, right? The government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. The show's live. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we are broadcasting on the Fringe FM. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and D-Live. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And you can be part of the show. Joe is taking questions if you guys have a question for him. And welcome back, Joe. Welcome back to the show. We were talking about Jeremy Corbell. No, thank you. Thank you. I think we need to hear different takes all the time, and you are, like I said, tip of the spear, my friend. So let's continue with Jeremy Corbell and that story there.
Jeremy Corbell has done 2 documentaries. For people who haven't seen them, you should. Even if you don't, I don't know how people feel about the Bob Lazar story, but he's done a documentary. As far as he's done shorter documentaries, but he's done 2 full feature-length documentaries, one on Skinwalker Ranch and one on Bob Lazar. Skinwalker Ranch is the reason we're talking tonight. That's the reason this entire program started back in 2007, because a scientist with the Defense Intelligence Agency read the book by George Knapp and Colm Kelleher called Hunt for the Skinwalker. And people need to read that book. First, the ranch, and then the second part of the book goes through all the possibilities that we may be dealing with as far as UFOs. And it's even that second part of the book is so underrated. It's just such a great job by those 2. But that Defense Intelligence Agency scientist, he had an experience when he went to Skinwalker Ranch, and that just started everything. He's like, listen, if we're going to understand this, we can't just study UFOs. We have to study all the other stuff. Poltergeist activities connected to UFOs. Dr. Eric Davis, who's worked with the government as a consultant with the ATIP program in OSAP. He said close encounters always have poltergeist activity. People don't like it, but Bigfoot, orbs, poltergeist, all that stuff, it seems connected to UFOs, and that may give us a clue of what we're dealing with. It's probably, in my opinion, I'm not saying extraterrestrials aren't here, but we may be dealing with something, the majority that is not extraterrestrial, more interdimensional. And, if that's the case, maybe these objects can look like drones. I mean, they're showing up at nuclear sites, too. It's like, I don't see how are drones making it past, how are they making it past these, into this restricted areas without us even seeing them? All of a sudden, they're just popping up. So it's really, to me, I'm like, well, are they somehow from another dimension? Are they able to appear into this dimension? And that's, for some, that's too speculative. It's too, people don't even want me to go there. But that's where, I tell people you really need to read John Keel. And I didn't learn about Keel until a couple of years ago. Gary Nolan, who's done work with experiencers, he's like, you need to read Operation Trojan Horse. And it's probably one of the best book recommendations I've ever had. I have several of Keel's books I have waiting to be read. But it's just amazing. Back in the 50s, they were open to a non-ET explanation. They call it paraphysical, which is basically, it's outside of the physical, including psychic. And Eric Davis and Jacques Vallée have written a paper. If you look online, it's at Vallée's website. I think it's JacquesVallée.net. I forget the title of it, but it deals with all the different things. And some of these objects are seen, they go into the ground, they change shape. And that's why it's interesting, those 3 photos that George released and Tim McMillan released, if that's the same object, we don't know if that's the same object in those 3 photos or it's 3 separate objects. But if it's the same object, it changed shape, which tells me it can take any shape it wants, which matches, if you go through and read Keel and read Vallée and Davis, that's what this thing can do. To me, that doesn't sound extraterrestrial, but who the hell? Who knows? I don't know. But Corbell, him and George, people, like I said, they hold the Lazar story against both of them, and it's really, they're missing out some amazing information. George, like I said, Jeremy has great sources, and so does George. And I'm curious to see what the next step is, because there's, like he said, 900. He gets 900 pieces of information, data dumps a month. So there's amazing information out there. We just need to get our hands on it. Easier said than done.
Yeah, right. If it was that easy, if only. So I've got the video like in a small window from Jeremy Corbell, extraordinarybeliefs.com. Go check it out. I've linked the actual place where this article came from. You can also find it on Mystery Wire. I will link that as well. But this appears to be a craft in the sky. And so I was corrected actually during the break by Kelly in the chat that this is not FLIR. It's actually infrared because it's got that green hue, and a FLIR is like that black and white type of thing, which I didn't know because, well, I'm a knucklehead. But so we have this this night vision thing going on, and these UAPs in the sky, these UFOs, whatever they happen to be. And they're these pyramid shapes. They're triangles, at least flat, maybe pyramidal in shape. We don't know, but there's several of them. One of them is very clear. It looks like there's several of them kind of passing by it. Amazing stuff here. Like what the heck could this be? And so, people say drones, people say all these other things, right? Different military, whatever that is. But the pushback against that is, commercial drones at this point really can't fly for 90 minutes or a couple hours straight, harassing, ships. And this wasn't the Kidd incident, right? The USS Kidd, that was something else, wasn't it?
But no, it was the Kidd. As far as the triangle, the pyramid, it was part of, I think Jeremy said it was the USS Russell, but all those ships were close to each other at that time. So they were all there, and supposedly there was multiple incidents on different days. And the pyramid happened later in July, I believe Jeremy said. So, yeah, I would like to, let's speak to the witnesses. It's going to be up to the Navy that lets active duty men and women come out and speak about what they've seen and experienced, because with the Tic Tac, those guys were retired, so it was a lot easier. The one pilot, she was still active. She still gives lectures. She still works for the Navy. She's only given anonymous interviews on unidentified, which was great. But I know who she is, and she's amazing. And for her to come out publicly would be great. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Everything happened with COVID. Things got pushed back, and I heard that she was going to come out, but she hasn't. But with these other cases, there must be a ton of guys. I mean, a lot of guys and girls who have seen this, and we need to hear from them. It's so important. I mean, that's why it was such a big deal in 2017 when the New York Times broke that story. I mean, when you had Fravor and Jim Slate in that article, and then people came out later thanks to Dave Beatty finding them. We need more of that. And then my dream world is to see some, network news have 12 members of the Navy, set up like they do those, they do those group interviews. They have when they're doing political questions, and they have like this group, a focus group. I want to see 12 members of the Navy just up there telling the American public, this is what we're seeing. We don't know what it is, but it's not ours. And that's going to go a long way. And I don't know when that's going to happen, if it's going to happen. If I'm going to be alive when it happens, that's what I want to see.
250 years from now, maybe.
Yeah, exactly, right? I'll be in my 75th lifetime coming back.
with the new technology, of course, which is coming to a movie theater near you. Okay, so
exactly right, and it's funny that the triangles are. I think if we have technology, I think it may be some of those black triangles. Some of those black triangles might be ours, but I don't know that. I don't tell people I know we have this, but I think we might have it, and that story is amazing. If we have anti-gravity, I think we spoke about it last time. That story as big, if not bigger than we're being visited, depending on what the visitors are doing here. If we have that technology, the whole world changes overnight. If we can get that technology out to the masses.
Yeah, the actual anti-gravity tech. And the thing is, that's called the TR-3B, that triangular craft that many people have reported. It's got the 3 lights on each corner, right, or 1 light on each respective corner of the triangle, and it's silent.
A friend of mine had a sighting. I had a sighting in when he was in the military, and just like that. And I don't know if it's the TRB 3 T3. I forget what it is. Edward Fouché back. I think it was in the 90s. That's when I first heard about it. But he thinks those 3 lights are the propulsion system. And I've seen that other places. Whether or not that is, I don't know, but I hope, like I said, that stuff's probably a bigger secret than if something non-human is visiting, but, speculation on my part.
Yeah, so I would think that since there's so many sightings, it's hard to really refute that one in particular, and it makes me think maybe military, maybe we're so far ahead of what's actually going on here that we just can't let it out. I mean, you would expect, right? We're talking about basically it's an arms race. It's always been an arms race. It's always about war. It's always about defense. It's always about these things. That if you you had something that would change the world like that technology wise, it would be like burn barrel type stuff. Like you would get like a handwritten note, you would read it, and this thing would get burnt immediately. This isn't going to be something that's on like a server that can be hacked. You know what I mean? It would be so locked down that we would think it was alien, right? And I think it's possible. I think those things are possible at this point. What did Annie, what's her name? Annie Jacobson wrote that book about DARPA and was saying that they're 30, 40, 50 years ahead of us at any given time. And so maybe there's just that actual extra propulsion system that they found that we're able to do these things. Who knows, man? And I think we can't really take that off the table.
And something that in the promotion touches upon technology, a book, I'm really looking forward to 2 books this year. Jacques Vallée, his book should be coming out, I think, in May. And then I think it's August, late July, August. A name that a lot of people don't know is Ross Coulthart, who is a former 60 Minutes reporter for in Australia. Guy is amazing, mainstream guy, national, and he has a book coming out, and I think it's going to make some waves. And I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to hype it, but I'm excited about that book, and I'm excited about Vallée's book. And as far as, for me, this is one of the explanations I hope we're dealing with when I see these objects, approaching nuclear missile sites and kind of nudging our navies like, here we are, you better make us public. I'm hoping it's some intelligence that shares the planet with us and says, hey, you guys are destroying the planet. We need to start acting up. We're going to, you need to get rid of your nukes. I'm hoping that's what it is. I don't know. That's just one theory people have had. It's ultra-terrestrials. They're here. They're on this planet, and they share this space with us. And which gets me to, I'm very conservative on my blog, but there's one recent blog where there's a retired intelligence officer talks about encounters with ETs in a mountain, in a hollowed-out mountain. And this woman got so much flack for going public. I mean, really nasty stuff. And her background, apparently has been checked out by a guy who graduated from the Naval Academy. And she wrote briefings that made it up to the president and Joint Chiefs of Staff. Really solid, but she's talking about stuff that people can't believe, that she met face-to-face with these beings, non-human beings. And, she talks about telepathy and how that's our future. And but for the most part, I am very conservative on there. But she mentions how they told her they share this space with us. We can't see it. I'm guessing another dimension, but they share the space with us. So our activities do have an effect on them. If that's the case, then maybe we'll get our act together. But as you said, everything is war. Everything is weaponizing stuff. All these guys, they've been working in the defense industry for a long time, and they just think like that. That's how it is, and I don't know how we're going to break that. That's a really tough nut to crack.
Yeah, especially when you have all the different, the things China and Russia are doing. I mean, like, how do you justify just going, let's talk peace, guys, constantly, And they're like, okay, sure, cross their fingers behind their back, and they're, making hypersonic weapons, It's like, okay, whatever. So actually, I was going to ask you about Anjali, is her name? Anjali Angaya, I think that's how you say it. We did a whole show on that. We talked about that, read some of that Reddit thread, and it's an interesting story, no? And so, we got the talk show here so we can speculate, drink some of the maybe juice. You don't got to hold us to the things we say as being true, but I think being able to speculate on these things is if they are true and kind of take them seriously is I think without doing that, at least initially, and kind of kicking the idea around in your head, I think maybe you do a disservice to all of it because, like you said, she seemed to have legitimate credentials. I'll reach out to her at some point too and see if we can get her on the show, but we did cover that and talk about it so the people on this show that listen know exactly what you were referencing there. What do you think about that?
And obviously I thought enough to transcribe Nick Larkin, who's the one who did her background check. I thought enough of the story and her, when I heard her, she sounded credible. To write a blog on it, and that's not usually what I put on my blog. But she sounded credible, and Nick did the background check, and she is who she says she is, supposedly. And I have another friend who's like, yeah, people in the intel world who know who she is, they don't understand what's going on. They don't know what she's, if she's telling the truth or not. They're confused because they're like, what's going on here? But if we're being visited, let's just say for argument's sake, ET is here or non-humans are here in physical form, is it that much of a stretch that they'd be hiding under mountains or under whatever, underwater? I would think that's a given. They're not just flying around all the time. So if you make that leap right there and say they're here, I don't think it's that hard to believe. Whether or not she had encounters, I don't know. She talked about poltergeist activity in her home preceding that event. And like I said, poltergeist activity a lot of times is connected with UFOs. And I would love to talk with her family. And like, did you really, supposedly the whole family, everybody who lived in that house had poltergeist activity. If those witnesses went public or even anonymous and I was able to speak with them, that would give me even more, confidence that what she was talking about is real. But I don't think we can prove it, but I definitely think it's worth looking into further. And maybe the witness she was with, maybe that person will come out. The person who allegedly took her there, I forget the guy's name, but, supposedly dug. People had a big problem with her story. He supposedly dug into this mountainside. But they were so, you would not, like the Reddit, people on Reddit, Twitter was bad, but Reddit was horrible. It's like, if you don't believe her, fine. But this is the name calling and it's just insults. It was so out of control. It's disappointing to see.
Yeah, and that's just not with her story. That's pretty much with anybody's take on anything, right? They're quick to say, "Oh, that's a BS take," and stick it up your rear end and these things. It's just dumb. It's really dumb.
Exactly.
So we got a few minutes left here. While we still got you, is there anything you want to plug? Maybe something, a project you're working on? Maybe tease something. Whatever's coming up. Just what's going on in the world of UFO Joe that you want people to know?
I've been working on this. I wanted to do transcripts of Rubio's. He did 4 interviews over the past, I think it was like a year. So, and that turned into a massive blog of other transcripts and just what was going on with the UAP task force and just different things that Elizondo has said and Ratcliffe has said. So I'm working on that. Hopefully, I promised it like a week and a half ago, but I still haven't finished it. But one thing I told one of my Twitter followers I would talk about, it's a blog I have to finish. Somebody I know who's known for in the world of psychics, remote viewing. He told me, I heard an interview he did with Linda Moulton Howe, and he spoke about encountering military working alongside ETs. And I was like, and there was no follow-up. So I wrote him and I had follow-up. And he said other people he knows work in the military had these experiences, and he won't tell me details because it was classified the actual work he was doing. So, and I was like, should I share this? And I finally decided not to share it. But then people were like, just share it. So I have to finish that blog. And it's like, I'm sure it's going to be controversial, but I know the person. I like the person. I don't think he's just not somebody that just makes stuff up. People can, and he even said, he goes, maybe it was somebody wearing a mask. He goes, I don't really think that, but it's always possible. So if that's true, it's like, all bets are off. We can go so far down the rabbit holes. There are people out there who say there are jump rooms that can take us to Mars instantly. There's a guy, I think it's Randy Kramer, who says there's battles going on Mars. We've been there and we battle with these ETs. You can go really far down the rabbit hole. It's like, where do you stop? Where do you start? It's like, that's why I try to stay conservative on my blog. Like, something's here. They've been interacting with us for a long time. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the intent is, but I'll speculate all day long. As far as plugging, that's it. Just the same stuff I'm doing. Twitter, I do a lot of my stuff on Twitter. People like that, and when I'm off on my days, that's all I do. I just try to find new stuff and quotes and things. And one of my other interests is connected is healing. What we talked about last time, Bill Bankston, who works, with healing mice of cancer, and it's one of my most recommended books. Bill Bankston has written 2 books on healing, and they're just amazing. He's a perfect skeptic, very skeptical but open-minded, and he works solely on data, and I can't get people on UFO Twitter interested in him. And there's more data for his healing research than there is for UFOs, but people have that block, and I had that block too with healing until I found him. I'm like, oh, this guy actually does the experiments in laboratories. So that's that. And other than that, just doing my normal job and just doing this whenever I can. And when I have time off, it's great because I could do this nonstop. And I love it.
Yeah, amen. So actually, last time you were on the show, we were supposed to circle back at some point and do Bankston. If you want to spend some time doing that, you let me know, man, because definitely, I think I did look into it last time you were on the show just to be prepared to talk about it, and there's some compelling stuff there. And the guy has said that there's definitely some technologies out there that are able to combat cancer and things like this, right? And so, like you shrug your shoulders and, like you said, look at the data. I mean, it's one thing to just kind of crap on everything out of habit, but it's another thing to be able to, like Socrates said, right? The mark of an educated mind is being able to accept an idea or entertain an idea without accepting it. And that's really what the show's about, right? It's all of these things, because you never know. It just depends on who you're talking to. And if we're looking at data, actual data from a laboratory, it changes everything, does it not? But I think we should. You think we should get together at some point and do Bankston and kind of cover that?
Definitely. There's people. It's funny because he talks about the mainstream professors and scientists in the different colleges he's done the studies, and they're baffled. A lot of them don't want him to come back. It just changes their worldview so much. And these mice are injected. The main experiment he did was they inject them with mammary cancer, and they live 27 days. But his mice, when they do the hands-on healing, they live 85% of them live their full lifespan of 2 years, and no mice had ever lived after 27 days. So it's like, that's happening. So he's like, if you have a problem with my experiments, is anything methodology, tell me, let's address it. But nobody ever does. They just basically don't believe it, and they don't want to look at it. It's the same thing. I don't want to look in Galileo's telescope. Don't bother me. I'm not going to look. That's kind of what the attitude is. I mean, it changes slowly, but it's slow change. If I can't even get people, like I said, in the UFO field to even look at it, just think of how mainstream people think. They're like, what? And the mice are good because the experiment, 27 days, they're supposed to die. But humans, he's worked on humans too. But humans, you never know. Did they change their diet? Did somehow their immune system get propped up by something else? There's so many variables in humans. But mice, and also with humans, you have, in their mind, are they thinking, oh, I'm getting, the placebo effect, which is, he discovered something that totally changed what we think about the placebo effect. But that's something we can cover on another show. But mice, as far as I know, don't know they're being part of an experiment, so there should be no placebo effect with mice, as far as, mind over matter. Yeah,
exactly.
I can listen to his book over and over. There's so much good information there. He is a true skeptic, in my opinion. People need to read his books or listen to him on audio to see what I'm talking about.
Agreed. I'll link that stuff up. We got to go. Hard break, bottom of the hour. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Joe. Open invitation anytime. You let me know. Love to have you back. UFO Joe Murgia, guys. Follow him, ufojoe.net. Thanks, my friend. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK, Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and D-Live. We're talking UFOs tonight. We're talking UAPs. We're talking about Mystery Wire, Jeremy Corbell, and some interesting information that just came out the last 3 days. And what is this weird stuff in the sky? That's the question for tonight. Got one more segment on Fringe. Looking to take your calls. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. TroubledMinds.org is the official website. You can click the Discord link there and get in here. Tell us what you think. No UFO Joe. He had to take off, but fantastic first hour and a half there. And I thank him very much for being on the show. But now it's your turn. So what do you think about all this? There's a whole lot of information coming out, and like I've always said, if there's 3 videos, there's 30. If there's 30, there's 3,000, and there's probably terabytes of data out there. We just haven't seen any of it. That's the thing that frustrates me the most, and it has the entire time with all of this information. That we got 3 videos, right? Tom DeLonge and all that stuff, and it was literally 3 videos for 3 freaking years, right? And nothing new. And I just kept twiddling my thumbs and waiting for something new. And the last few days, we've got tons of new stuff. And whether you call those photographs compelling or whatever it happens to be, you end up actually asking yourself more questions. At least I did. And I'm happy. I'm happy that we have information coming out, whether you like the sources or you don't. This is the type of stuff we need, right? Actual military sources coming out, being vetted by people in the community or whoever. You don't have to be vetted by people in the community, just people bringing the information forward. So definitely good stuff. And I mean, that's the deal. We're taking your calls. What do you think about this stuff? About the Jeremy Corbell, those the pyramids in the sky, about the George Knapp stuff, about those photographs, which I'll put back up on the screen here. The 3 of them called one's the acorn, one is the metallic blimp, and the other is, what do we call this? The sphere. The sphere, the acorn, and the metallic blimp. And this again came on Mystery Wire today, and we could read some of this because Joe actually knows, UFO Joe knew a lot of this kind of off the top of his head because, of course, he studies this stuff. And so he was able to just kind of tell the story without reading any of this. I'm not that good. I forget details instantly because I have a goldfish brain. But I do have the article here, and so I can read some of this. But again, as always, like I said, I'd rather hear from you guys. What do you think about this? Let's check the Discord, make sure nobody's in there. All right, so no calls on Discord and no calls on the phone. That means you're up. If you can hear me, I'm talking to you. It's Thursday night. The date is April 8th, and we're talking UFOs tonight. So if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link, and let's look at some of this. There's actually George Knapp does a great job. Again, I'm going to link this, and you guys can please go to his website. Give these guys the love for doing the work and putting this stuff out, right? Having the contacts they have, and actually trying to get the word out, right? I mean, like kind of like Joe was saying there, that George Knapp takes a lot of guff from people because of the Bob Lazar story, right? But I mean, okay, fine. Just remove that from the entire equation. And if you think he was wrong on that, fine, he's wrong on that. But then look at all the rest of the stuff he's talked about. I think that's what we need to do, and why we need to keep an open mind regarding all the things that we always talk about on this show. That alien base in the underground and things like this. Like we always say, drinking a hefty dose of the maybe juice to consider it, to actually consider the possibility of these things, because it does change everything. What's up? Kelly says, I'm not allowed to call till the 3rd hour because I have a dirty sailor's mouth. Yes, indeed, sir. I appreciate that. If anybody else, Kelly is most welcome at 9 when we do the 3rd hour. If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That was a funny comment, Kelly. Good stuff. Reading the chat, guys, and just trying to keep up with you. All right, so let's go. Let's just read some of this. So this is straight from Mystery Wire, and this is the show. This is what we were talking about today. This is kind of what spawned this, and why I reached out to Joe last night and asked him, hey, do you want to talk about this stuff? Because there's a lot of new information coming out. And what he actually said to me on Twitter last night was, hey, there might be a new thing coming out from Corbell too. He's been kind of teasing this a little bit. So, and this was the Green Pyramid video that we looked at. So definitely a good time to do this and catch up on some of the information that's coming out. But as always, what do you think about it? Is this, again, some military projects? Is this, like Alex Jones would say, the breakaway civilization that has this bizarre technology and they're doing whatever they're doing? Is this Randy Kramer, Marines on Mars, and time travel? Like I said, hey, the maybe juice. So anyway, what do you guys think this is? Looking to hear from you, 702-957-1037, troubleminds.org. I'll say it fast. This is from the Mystery Wire today. And again, if you're just kind of catching up or joining us, this is a good refresher anyway to really reset this conversation. Military and intelligence officials say they remained baffled by unusual unidentified aircraft that have been encountered in recent years off both coasts of the United States. Many of the objects have been referred to as drones, but that is not what Pentagon investigators have been telling the chain of command behind the scenes. Naval Air Station Oceana is the center of air power on the east coast of the United States. It is a sprawling naval air station in Virginia, home to the best aviators in the world. Since at least 2004, F-18 pilots flying into the zone, designated W-72, have reported encounters with a bizarre array of unknown, unidentified objects and aircraft positioned directly in their daily flight paths. And I think that's the thing that makes this, again, a little more compelling, is we have the military sources for this stuff, right? Which again, this is, these if you didn't catch the brief on this when we were talking about these photographs, they were taken from an iPhone, but you can see in the photographs here, they were taken from the cockpit of a military craft. So clearly, like we said about, Copper Mustache called and asked about the why don't we have like the gun camera, the FLIR stuff? Why don't we have, we have these kind of crappy cell phone actual photographs? Why is there no video? And I get it. I get it. National security and all the stuff they always talk about, right? Which is why undoubtedly they have those things and they're probably looking at them behind the scenes. And so for whatever reason, this was authorized to be released, but the actual FLIR stuff, the gun camera stuff, whatever actual radar data or footage they have is not for release, right? Not for public consumption. And that doesn't surprise me a single bit. It just doesn't. Because you would expect that if this is, this has national security implications, whether we know it, what it is, or do not know what it is, we kind of don't want China knowing where, or Russia or other adversarial entities knowing what we know about these things. So, yeah, I mean, that's the deal. And I don't know, like I said, I'm glad to see more of this. I don't know what to think about these actual images themselves, because they seem, a little bit blurry. They seem a little bit, one looks like Ultraman. You guys remember Ultraman from the old days? Like an Ultraman head, the one they call the blimp here, the metallic blimp. One has been, compared to the Batman balloon. Yeah, I think that's probably a little harsh jump into those types of comparisons. But I mean, we're looking at a photograph with our own eyes, right? Trying to describe what kind of sense these things make. So, yeah, if you're just joining us, that's what we're talking about tonight. MysteryWire.com dropped these new photographs the last 3 days, and actually this is from April 6th, so 2 days ago, and this was happening again in this the flying zone designated W-72 in Naval Air Station Oceana. So here we go. Investigators with the Pentagon's UAP task force, that would be unidentified aerial phenomenon, that's UAP, have requested that airmen try to document their encounters. Now, this one actually happened on March 4th, 2019. An F-18 weapons systems officer, like WSO, seated behind the pilot, used his iPhone to capture images of 3 different objects he encountered in the same airspace. At 3:02 p.m., he photographed an odd-shaped object. Another photo, taken close to the same time, was first posted to Twitter on May 11th, 2020, and that was this post right here, actually. This is from Blake S. Taylor Investigations at YoungGun8140 on Twitter. I'm going to link that if you guys want to follow up. But this is where this actually came from, the first one, right? And where it got the Batman balloon and all the rest of this stuff, where this kind of came from, at least the source of the information, right? But then, right, so this was posted then. But now there's new stuff. There's new stuff here. So other photos taken on the same day. Remember, all this happened on the same day. And like Joe was saying, which is kind of an interesting take, we don't know if this was the same object and was just changing shapes, right? Which would kind of actually coincide a little bit with what David Hambling said with the plasma UFOs, right? Where you're able to take this plasma image in the sky and change it into whatever you want. Like I said, I made the joke in the past that means you could put Elvis in the sky playing the guitar, right? and they would see it. They would see it as such. And I think that's the thing, is we have to, again, keep an open mind on what these things may be, and they're putting them out there to see what kind of reactions pilots have, to see what kind of radar data that gets picked up by whatever they put in the sky. I don't know. Again, I'm favorable to that more than I am that these are aliens, right? But who the heck knows? Who am I to say? I don't have answers. Again, I'm the questions guy, not the answers guy. So that's the question tonight. What do you think this stuff is? Dropped by George Knapp on MysteryWire.com. That's his website. We will put this up again. All the links you can follow. And then this was followed up, in addition, today. This is hot off the press from Jeremy Corbell. And so we not only have these other ones called the Sphere, the Acorn, and the Metallic Blimp, right, which is what these are called, these actual UFOs they see in the sky. There's more. What happened today is, let's go to this. This is from extraordinarybeliefs.com, and we'll read just a little bit of this. Again, looking to hear from you guys. We're talking about UFOs tonight, and the information that just got dropped in the last 3 days. And as you know, we try and keep up on at least the peripheral conversation as this stuff happens, as the UFOs happen, and as the conversation kind of leans that way. So we'll keep an eye on it. We're not as deep into it as UFO Joe there, but we do like to stay up on what the new releases are. And wink, wink. This is a new release. So here we go. This is from April 8th, 2021, and this is exactly what Joe was talking about, the Jeremy Corbell stuff. Extraordinarybeliefs.com, Jeremy Corbell. Here we go. So Jeremy is an investigative filmmaker and journalist working in the field of UFO research. He says he receives anonymous communications and data drops on a daily basis. It's something that he asked for publicly long ago. I provided my contact information and prompted for people to reach out with cases and leads regarding the UFO phenomenon. I've repeated this request on radio, television, and popular podcasts. So you see, he's actually asking for people to send him military information, and so he can release these things, right? And they can do it anonymously and get the word out on what's actually in our skies out there. Is this friendly skies? Is this not so friendly skies? I think it just depends on who you call, right, or who you talk to. It's some people say these things are a threat in the sky. Some people say they are benevolent and they're here to help us. I think you could look to the Bloodsoes, and I think they say, if you're familiar with that case, the Fayetteville incident, they say that some of that family believes that the entities that are here to help us, and they talk about the woman being one of the entities that shows up and tries to contact us. So I think there's a whole bunch of other weird stuff here. There's a good one too. I'm going to read this from Robert in the Facebook chat. He says this, and now this is interesting, an interesting take on these things in the sky. Organic life is based upon water-based gel-like structures, upon microscopic solids embedded in liquids. Life is based on gels in water, so maybe life exists which is based on gels in air. If low mass and not easily disrupted like smoke clouds, then such things might take the form of spheres. And actually, I can't remember the guy's name, but there's somebody that was actually kind of pointing to some images around Saturn back in the day. This is years and years ago, but kind of suggesting exactly what you're suggesting there, that some of these things they see in space, these anomalous things, may not be UFOs, but what if they're life forms in some capacity, right? Maybe we're thinking too much in terms of technology, and what if these things are the actual entities themselves? Yeah. Good way to put it here. And so who knows, right? You kind of have to keep an open mind when you're talking about things that we don't know about. Matthew says, I really want to see the skeptics get owned just once, something that'll shut them up. Geo Magician on YouTube says, seems like Mylar balloons flopping around to me. Maybe, right? Fred says, what gets me is the Air Force keeping so quiet. What are they hiding? And you were right. I think that's the worst part of this, is we don't get the information we need from the sources that should be providing it. And I think, that's for obvious reasons. Unfortunately, back to the defense stuff, and it's always war all the time. But like I said, because the other guys are doing it, we have to keep up with the Joneses. Otherwise, you get owned in the next war. And unfortunately, that's a part of the human condition. But again, we got a few minutes left on the final segment here on Fringe. you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. What do you think about this stuff? What do you think these are? Are they life forms in the sky, like Robert suggests? Are they maybe plasma, radar spoofing things, like as David Hambling wrote, and I'm more akin to believe on things like this? Or is it something interdimensional? Is this actual extraterrestrial? And this in this case, we're not asking a general question. We're actually asking specifically what these photographs are, and what George Knapp released today, 2 days ago, and what Jeremy Corbell released today. So not only do we have those three images that we were talking about for most of the show here, which of course is the sphere, the acorn, and the metallic blimp as they are described. Then today we have Jeremy Corbell that released this other stuff, and it's a pyramid in the sky. Right, so I'll put this up on the screen one more time as we wind this down. But looking to hear from you guys. What do you think about this stuff, and what does it all mean? As always, what does it all mean? Make sure to you guys take the time and go give some love to the folks that provide the information, that help this show. The UFO Joe, UFOJoe.net, Twitter at the UFO Joe. Go to Jeremy Corbell's site, which is, extraordinarybeliefs.com. I'll link all this stuff, and then go to mysterywire.com as well, where the George Knapp stuff came from. But this is interesting, right? So we have this infrared camera, so it's kind of like got the green filter. Thanks, Kelly, for setting me straight there. But then we have what appears to be these pyramids floating in the sky, triangles of some sort. And, we've talked about the TR-3B a little bit in the past, that triangular craft that supposedly looks like, or supposedly has been reported many, many times by many different witnesses. And some believe it's a United States military UFO. It's a craft like this, right? So who knows? Again, I'm not the answers guy. I think if you had the answers to these things, you definitely wouldn't be doing a show like this. I'd be locked away in some vault somewhere, and they wouldn't let me say a word. But what do you think it is? Like I said, a few minutes left. Love to hear from you. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Otherwise, we'll read just a little bit more of this, and you'll get more of the UFO information coming from these sources here. So let's do that. Actually, let's look at Mick West. Now, Mick West in particular is he's one of the most, call him a notable skeptic, right? He's one of the most notable outspoken skeptics on this UFO stuff, and he's been talking about this quite a lot. And when something comes out, he immediately jumps to the case to find out what's happening with the photographs, and to kind of vet them and see if there's anything that should be believed as far as these are anomalous or not. And this is what he said on Twitter. I'm going to put it up here full screen so you guys can check it out. But Mick West today tweeted this, and he's talking about these the Jeremy Corbell video where you have these triangle in the sky, and it appears to be a swarm of them even. He says this. He's timing the flashing nav lights on a UFO from Jeremy Corbell. He says, I compared the UFO on the bottom to a plane on the top. RED marks, red marks, are the brightest flashes on both the anti-collision strobe. He says it's a match. 1.5 seconds per flash, the UFO has the same lights as a plane. So he's suggesting, of course, that you have the same type of lights going on with this, that there's an actual a plane here instead, right? I don't know. I'm a little less apt to believe that. I mean, these are the types of things you need to do when you investigate, quote, investigate, right? And that's good. Mick West, again, he takes a lot of flack from the UFO community because he's, kind of like the debunker in chief, basically. And he's always trying to punch holes in these things as being, terrestrial explanations. But of course, as we've talked about on this show, I think if you just try and stick to one mindset all the time, you end up putting yourself at a disadvantage, right? And not being willing to change your mind, in my opinion. So anyway, like I said, a couple minutes left. What do you guys think about that? About the timing the flashing nav lights, and they say they're exactly 1.5 seconds per flash. Do you think these actual things from the Corbell video are worth talking about, or do you think, as Mick West suggests, these things are simply Airplanes. I don't know about the airplanes. I don't know about the airplanes. What's up, Tam says, I still haven't seen a UFO. I'm so disappointed. I think Stephen Greer, I think he's got an app for you. I think you can download the app and then you get to see UFOs or something. I don't know. I forgot to ask UFO Joe about Stephen Greer. But anyway, okay. So we're as we wind this down and get to the last bit of this, again, right? It pays to keep an open mind. Be skeptical and keep an open mind. As difficult as that sounds, it sounds like they're two contradictory things. I don't think they are at all. I think as you collect more data and start to learn more about things like this, the things that we're saying, and get new data, new information, I think that we should be willing to change our minds if something comes that we kind of talked about in a different light, maybe not too long ago. So I don't know, just keep an open mind, be skeptical, don't be fooled easily, but don't be so willing to try and explain things away as airplanes when they clearly don't look like airplanes. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, there's an app. There's a Stephen Greer app. We'll talk about that as we finish this up. So anyway, as we're done here, this is the last segment on Fringe.fm. If you want to continue listening to the show, we'll be 1 more hour on YouTube, Facebook, or D-Live. If you're listening on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop of Lighting the Void. Fantastic stuff. And then after that, Ryan Gable, The Secret Teachings. It's a bang-up lineup on the nights we go, because we just stack up good show after good show after good show. And then before us, we got the Rogie Report, and we've got Alex Exum. We got all kinds of stuff on the Fringe FM. If you guys aren't familiar with these shows, please check them out. Definitely good stuff, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So let's play some outro and finish this up. As we finish the night, the question remains: what is all this stuff? What are these things in the sky? And are they a threat? I think that's what it comes down to. I don't know. I don't have any of those answers. I wish I did, but we're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep paying attention. And as this stuff comes and goes and does its thing, we'll be there watching. We'll make sure that we see what's happening. And that's what this show's about. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be sure, be strong, be true. Like I said, if you're on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, or D-Live, stay tuned for the 3rd hour of Troubled Minds. More UFOs, UAPs. Still taking your calls. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, guys. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. What's up? We got we're done on the Fringe. We got 1 more hour coming up. What's up? Chloroform says, yeah, that's what I was thinking, and then I was interested until his sales pitch. Well, apparently you just showed up at the wrong time as we transition from the radio to YouTube. I don't know. Oh, geez. Well, you can't please everybody, right? What can you do? What can you do? Oh, well. All right. Now, here's the thing. 1 more hour. Looking to hear from you guys. You want to be part of the show tonight? We're still talking about these UFOs in the sky. UAPs, what are they? You saw the photographs. I put the links up, and we're still talking about this. If you have a take on this, Robert had a good one there. Maybe these are actual life forms in the sky. Give us a call. Love to hear from you. Transparency is an important part of this show. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. You can be part of the show that way. Quick 2-minute break. Tuck the kids in bed. Top off your drink. Grab some popcorn. 1 more hour of Troubled Minds coming up. Looking to hear from you guys. Be right back. 2-minute break. Okay, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and I'm me, you're you, and together we are us. We are us. And the more information we get, the more hot takes on this stuff, the more, cerebral, the more, again, skeptical and open-minded, right? Kind of at the same time. You need to be able to do both. Kind of like we've always said when we started this show, you kind of have to be able to keep your feet. This is an old Frank thing, like he used to say back in the day. You have to be able to live in a few different worlds, right? You have to be able to understand that maybe these things, some of these things are true. Some of these things are, the breakaway civilization aspect is that maybe the elites have, commandeered some sort of exotic propulsion and, or something like this, some sort of game-changing technology. And they're using it to move away, to maybe go to Mars or go to wherever it is that they're trying to go. And it seems outlandish, it seems ridiculous, but there's people that have been saying this for quite some time, that the actual technology that's out there is not what they're telling us. Is that, DARPA, like Annie Jacobson, 30, 40, 50 years ahead of us. And so, if let's say that like a exotic propulsion technique is, just a few years away, then they've already had it for a long time, right? Meaning, in the commercial sector. So I think that's the thing. And that's what we're talking about tonight. You got to be able to kind of realize that, and then realize that the real world and also consider that we might be fooled, This all might be like a huge psyop to, throw off the Chinese or the Russians or whatever it is, right? They make them believe that we believe there's UFOs when there's really not because, there are technology. You see, there's like this whole mind screw backwards type of thing going on. And again, what's up? Chloroform's good. Thank you for clarifying. I didn't mean to jump down your throat there. But okay, let's go. We got a couple phone calls. Let's go to this. I love to hear from you guys tonight. 702-957-1037. Sherry says they want us to see them. And it sure seems like it, right? It definitely seems like it. I think that's a good take. All right. Kelly says, go roll a Jaybird and get ready. All right. Perfect. Let's do it. Let's go to Kelly. Let's go to Kelly in Colorado. Hello, my friend. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight?
All right. How you guys doing, man? Peace to the family.
Yeah. Peace and love, my friend. What do you think about all this crazy stuff? Did you see the George Knapp stuff and those photographs?
Yeah, I seen that what the pilot took while he was inside his cockpit.
Exactly. Yeah. What do you think?
Okay, so when I think about all these people that are coming out and, they come out with these videos that so supposedly the Navy pilots have, filmed. Because Oceana's over in Virginia, that's the East Coast, and the other one that was a Tic Tac, that was over there on the West Coast off of San Diego. But because, aircraft carriers, what we do is we go off about 100 nautical miles. We're getting prepped ready for deployment. We call those things workups, and we go out for probably about a month, and we do a bunch of figure eights. We get the ship ready for all tactical and battle readiness, and then also for firefighting. Pilots, they're always doing their touch and goes, see if they can land. You know what I mean? They have the pilots see if they can catch the wires and stuff on the Navy ships. So, we get ready for that. Also work with our destroyers and our cruisers, make sure we're all linked together and, operating as a well-oiled machine. So when I look at that and I think when I put myself in my military mind, I look at those videos. The first ones I didn't like because the reason why I dislike them is because you hear the pilots, supposed to be what they sound like to me. They're playing a video game, like I was saying earlier on one of the comments I had on one other show that we were talking about this was that if you look at it, and you can hear these pilots. Our pilots don't talk like that. They're like, "Hey, dude, did you see that?"
Yeah.
So that kind of threw me off. I don't agree with that one. I don't think that one's real. And if they're talking about plasma, then we're talking about Operation Blue Beam. You know what I mean? Because, they called it a sky projector at one time. They're using a laser sky projector where they could, they have like a 6G now or something like that where they can, or the 5G or what they're calling it, or 4D tech where it looks like, you Have you seen them on, like, I think they have them at, like, zoos or at Disneyland where it looks like you can see a whale. It actually looks like a whale jumping out of the water, and it looks all real. So if that's what we're talking about, that they're creating in plasma, that's what I'm thinking. But again, like I'm trying to say, put myself in the military mind. So when the pilots go up, they're being briefed on what they're going to be encountering, what they're doing. We play war games and whatnot, try to, do a realistic thing is what we can do. So a pilot goes up, he gets all this information. Now, if they're off the coast where these aircraft are, right, so there's going to be 100 nautical miles away from the shore. So, and if they're claiming that these things are UAVs, right, if they're, some drones, then whose are they? Are they ours? They have to would be. Because like I said, my thinking is that it could be, these pilots are being told what to look for. Now the pilot, he's not scared. He obviously sees something. He's like thinking it's pretty cool that we got new tech. He took some videos of himself inside of his cockpit. Because if you're asking for any kind of film off a military aircraft, you're going to have, that's going to take pull from a lot of strings, a lot of red tape, try to get that video. Because everything's top secret when they come on off those aircraft. Even when they take them off, you can't even, like, there are people they have to have top secret clearances to even take it out of the aircraft, put it in the aircraft, even, handling it. So for me to think about that, saying, okay, so these pilots are they're not scared. They're actually knowing what they're doing. Because if we send our pilots up, even in through, like, off this coast that we're doing, they're constantly vigilant on, like, because we also have Russian aircraft which fly over us. We fly over Russian aircraft. They have the bombers. We have ours. We all play this, the news, they try to, propaganda, and they're trying to say that, look at what, our pilots are dealing with. But that's a natural everyday thing that happens during deployments like that. It's just we always testing each other's bubbles, and that's more or less what it is. Now, if anybody was to break from that and start taking down aircraft, that's going to be a real huge issue. So if we have a pilot that's roaming around the skies and he sees this thing, he's already known what it is. Because if not, and it's an unknown, it's either one or two things. We know that it's our drone and it's up there, and we're doing a lot of testing on it, or we know that it's like our I guess what we call, our Space Force now, or they're alien aircraft that we know, and we can't take them down. They're known as friendlies. That's the only reason why they would allow something like that to get that close to either coast, from the East Coast to the West Coast, getting that close to the United States, period. They would be taking that shit down, shooting it down, chasing it, even though if they couldn't catch it. You know what I mean? You hear pilots always talk about that. And if, I don't know if they're going to say that all these things, they can create like with a plasma either, because our pilots been seeing this stuff since World War I and II. They call them they call them Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters. Sorry about that. Yeah, they call them Foo Fighters. So, it's not like, the first time that we've ever seen any of these. So, again, it's either, our pilots when we're going up, I say that's either, they have to know. They got to know. They're looking for something, They're ready for it. The one in the pictures, I would have to say that those ones look like man-made. I wouldn't say if they were ours or it could be somebody else's. The one that looks like a unicorn, I actually posted something to the Discord chat, and it looks like one that looks like if you flip it upside down, the round part, and if this is the one that was caught off of the International Space Station, I posted that one in the Discord chat. And also there was another group, there was a group of older gentlemen, and this was probably about 10, 12 years ago, but they used to sit out, and they were out in Vegas. They kind of like, they would just sit out in one of the friends' house, and it was kind of like, they were pretty well off, so they had a house kind of like, away from everybody. But it was kind of, they would watch these airplane or aircraft flying in all the time at the military base. And they've actually filmed and took photographs of this one. It looks like a triangle. So that, you know, people would call the TR3B, but it's an incredible picture. I actually posted that one on there too. I took still pictures of that, the video that they had, if you want to check that out.
Yeah, actually, I've got it. I'm putting it up on the screen here. So this is what Kelly just shared in the Discord. I'm putting up. You guys can check it out. I've got an actual direct link as well, so you can pull it up in your browser and take a look, and full screen if you need to, which again is a part of doing this, right? If you're interested in what these things look like, you should probably be taking a closer look, right, as much as you can. So here we go, putting it up on the screen, and there you go. There you go. It is up, and it looks like what is this thing? Like it looks like a triangle with like a contrail, right? With a chemtrail. Oh boy. Yeah. Because it was actually, you know, they were saying, you know, because they have binoculars and all that stuff, so they were just like a bunch of guys sitting out there, you know. I think some of them were ex-military, but you know, they lived by a military base. I think it was, you know, out there in the desert where you're at, but I couldn't really remember the exact same story. But yeah, but that's what they filmed. They filmed that. You know, there's a Project Aurora is one of them that they claim that TR3B was. You know, that's kind of a more of a triangle shape, kind of like that one. The TR3B, there's different designs that, you know, see people say instead of like sharp corners or more round. That could be it. You know, the anti-gravity proportion. Like I said, though, for anything that's anti-gravity, it really doesn't matter what shape it is. So if we're still using a shape, even if it is a triangle, like the bomber that we have, the B-2, and our fighter, the 115, I believe it is, you got to understand that some of those are actually have to have some kind of propulsion from the back end, because if you you know, because anything that has to have something like that using a propulsion of an engine has got to have a thrust. Now the ones that they're saying that, you know, they could go Mach, you know, from 0 to Mach 15 and something. Again, that's got to be something that you know, that like I said, I've looked into as well. It's the same like your UFO Joe, but yeah, it's you know, it seems like they had, you know, they're saying they kind of look like they're what it is like they're opening a portal, so it's being sucked forward instead of pushed from the rear end of it. But yeah, you know, again, I disagree with a lot of people who would think that everything that came out was, you know, man-made, that it was ours, that, you know, it's been always our technology. Like Dr. Greer and some of these people have, you know, come out, because I just from all the stuff that I've read and all my research, I would have to say that's a negative, because these things have been around for thousands of years, if not millions, from all the time frames of all these ancient technology or these ancient cultures have talked about. I think they're much older. The planet's much older when everybody talks about. You know, you have the flying vimanas from, you know, ancient India. Yeah, you also have, like, in Baalbek, Lebanon, which is, Baalbek is actually called, you know, the literal meaning back then was the landing place, where, you know, they talk about fire and rockets. They were landing, coming and going, kind of like Tesla's rockets now. What's the name? Elon Musk. And like his rockets, they can land and take off or be reusable. You know, you look at all this other stuff, you know, what he's drawn on the cave walls, carvings, you know, the ancient technology, the art, and, you know, just the plain artwork of wall building of these different shaped walls. We can't even accomplish the same stuff now. I mean, and this is worldwide. So for me, saying even like, you know, like even in the Bible, if people want to go that way, you know, it's even in the Bible, like Ezekiel and the wheels. And he has wheels within wheels, and then he actually talks about a creature that was on the outside of it, you know, it had like 5 faces, and he explained it. You know, he even says it looks like beryllium, which is a metal. So, yeah, I mean, these things have been around for, and you can't really say where they're from. We, you know, a lot of, you know, there's speculations, you know. You know, you could say, like, yeah, you know, if you go with the Sumerian, which, you know, he claims to where it was the Anunnaki off of, you know, planet Nibiru, or you can go by what the ancient structures that people built, like the Seven Sisters of, what is it, the Pleiadians, or even, you know, Orion's belt, you know, and those star systems. But whether you want to go, whichever you want to go, you know, again, like I was talking about, you know, Ancient Thoth and his things, he says that he claims, the way he explains it is they're from a different vibration.
So if you could either say vibration or, that to me is telling me it's a different dimension. But it's something even then too, like even wrapping our human mind around that with even physics, you can even say that just that alone that's incredible. Where we have no idea what we're doing. We're still kids, little babies crawling. You know what I mean? Just probably came out the womb compared to what's going on in the outer space.
Yeah, for sure.
Time space.
For sure.
So.
Hey, you want to hang on a little longer? We got a call behind you, so up to you. I'll keep you on if you want to stay.
Sure, why not?
Okay, stay put. Don't go anywhere. Let's get. This is. I can't remember. Welcome back to the show. This is somebody from Oregon. I forgot your name. Is it Gregory from Oregon?
Matt.
Oh, Matt. See, I'm terrible. I'm terrible with names, man. A couple times we'll get it. How are you? What's on your mind tonight? Sorry about that.
How's it going? Can you hear me?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we're talking about aliens. Let's drink some maybe juice while I set up the story. So I lived in a place by Air Force Base. I'm not going to say which one, but like a big Air Force base. So I'm used to seeing like the planes, like the regular jets and ships fly over my house all the time. Like we go see the Blue Angels perform, and so I knew kind of what I was looking at. And then also, I want to set this up, is like, I lived on a hill. My house was on top of a hill. So like put yourself on a hill. And like when you look out, you can see the sky, like the horizons below you. So I could see the sky without looking up. So I have like more probability, I guess, of seeing things. And so like I kind of want to like experiment with you guys. Like if you live in a neighborhood and you go outside or look out your window, you probably see like a tree or your neighbor's house or like a fence. And you have to like go outside and like look up in the, like tilt your head back to look up in the sky. And so I'm thinking like what I'm getting at is like an alien UFO could be flying over your head right now, but you're not looking up.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And so for me, you were completely right.
Okay.
So I don't live on a hillside. We live in a valley, and there's mountains around us. So unfortunately for myself, I actually have to crane my neck and look up. So you're totally right. If it was more kind of so go ahead.
Yeah, so go do that, guys. Like go out there, go outside, look up. Like you're not going to see a UFO if you're not looking up, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's where they're going to be.
Yeah, so picture yourself on a hill and you're looking out, you see the sky. People will come over and watch the meteor shower because you don't have to look up. You can just look out. So I'm looking out and by this Air Force base and dawn, like morning, I'm getting ready for work, doing my morning thing. And it's like the sun isn't up yet, so it's dark, but the sun's coming up. And I'd see like stuff coming like back to the base. And what I think it was is like they would go out and like do whatever they're doing, and then they come back to the base before the sun came up. And like they're like cloaking devices, and it's like there might be like we're talking about like they could look like other things, but it's like I think maybe like the sun coming up or like some sort of weather phenomenon can like break or like disable their cloaking device, and I could see them for like that time, so they come back. And I'm talking about like I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's like I'm saying, you know, whether it's us and like an Independence Day, like reverse engineered, like we found a ship and like reverse engineered it and we're playing around with it. So there's a difference between like that and like, you know, a legit alien, like a little green man got on a ship, flew his ship billion light years to us. There's a difference, right?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. So,
yeah,
go ahead,
between those two things. So yeah, so like it's our stuff, and so we're talking about like in June they're gonna say whatever they're gonna say, and it's like tomorrow. And yeah, so in June they're gonna say something, and it's like I think that it's like, you know, enough people have seen it, and we live in a time where we can like bust out camera phones, like you have a phone in your pocket, you can take a picture. And enough people have seen it where they're kind of like, we got to give them something.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so they're going to tell us. And what I believe is like, they're going to say, you know, yeah, it's us. Like it's our technology, nothing to worry about. You
Exactly.
did not see any little green men, right?
Exactly. Let me
Because,
stop you
like,
for a
I
sec.
believe,
Let me
yeah.
stop you for a sec, Matt. Hold on. So Kelly's got a question for you. Go ahead,
Oh,
Kelly.
sorry.
You're good. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you. You said that you seen him like at the time that during day, or like during dawn. But when you seen them, you said you kind of like they had a cloaking device. What do you mean by that? What did you see exactly?
So how I explain it is like I wouldn't see them like fly because I'm looking out, right, not up towards the Air Force Base. But like they wouldn't I wouldn't see them like fly there. They would like appear over it and then land, and they moved like different, and they're like triangles straight up. And they kind of look like clouds, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Like, but they're like straight triangles. And
Yeah, 'cause
unfortunately, good.
There's a government. I can't remember the corporation right now, but they have actually plates that they put on tanks, and they can actually disappear from. I wouldn't say radar, but it would disappear from like a night vision scope. If you're looking at a night vision, you would see the tank when they have these plates on, and it changes the. I guess what you bend light is what it's doing, is bend light around it so that way you couldn't even see it, which is actually pretty interesting that you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Aircraft because aircraft, the only reason why I say it's interesting on aircraft is because aircraft needs to be light. It can't be like a tank because those plates were pretty heavy. So it's interesting that you're saying that you've seen something like that, how it came and gone. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, it could be like something going on that disabled the cloaking device, and I was able to see it. But yeah, it's like transparent, like you could see through it. Like I could see like the stars inside the triangle. It wasn't like an actual ship. It was just like a floating triangle. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, like a cloud.
That's crazy. Axel on the chat here says maybe. What's up, Axel? Thanks for showing up. Says might be testing some sort of active camouflage, and that sounds pretty decently likely as well, huh?
Yeah, and so what I'm saying is like there's a difference in the two. They're not going to say, they're going to be like, yeah, it's us, but they're not going to say like it's aliens, right? Because it'll be like, what would that do? Like everybody would be like, like I'm not going to go to work tomorrow.
I'm going to stop paying my taxes. It's coming.
Yeah, like oh no. Hey. Everyone would panic and freak out. So I don't think they're going to say it like that. I think if they do say something in June, whatever, they're going to say it's interesting. But I don't think they're going to say it's aliens because there's a difference between the two, and I don't want to freak everybody out.
Yeah, no chance.
But then there's that whole like Project Bluebeam thing too. So that's a whole different show.
Yeah, that is a whole different show. We'll get to that at some point as well. Definitely worth talking about. I appreciate the call, my friend. Anything else while we got you on the phone?
No, like I said, thank you guys. Go outside and look up.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Amen to that. Go outside and look up, or else you're not going to see a UFO. Thank you. That's Matt from Oregon. I appreciate the call. Thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
Right, man. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, there we go. Simple as that. 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the phone. I'm here with Kelly tonight. We're talking about all this stuff. We're talking about all this weird stuff, man. That's a great story. If they're actually testing some sort of a cloaking device or active camouflage or whatever's going on, and he's got a good view of it, that's a great story right there. Definitely good stuff. Have you ever seen anything like that, Kelly, where you thought it was maybe a military cloaking thing? And I'm not asking you for classified information, of course, just kind of in general.
Well, no, like I was saying though, I can't remember the name of the company right now, but because I'm always following like top, and I would say top secret, but like top science, where they've already developed. I'll tell you one thing they've developed already. They've developed a skin on aircraft where it would take bullet holes, but then it would repair itself. The nanotechnology on the outer skin, or actually the skin itself, would kind of like the beyond the outer part of the skin is kind of like the bulletproof gel, and it would vibrate. It would suck up the momentum of the bullet, slow it down, but then the outer skin of it can actually repair itself while it's in flight. So I've seen that. But as for, the whole invisibility cloaking, and the only thing I've ever seen with that one is, and you can actually go on YouTube and check that one out too. I can't remember, like I said, I can't remember. It's like a 4-letter company name. They use a lot of government contracts, but they have a tank, and it's like plates. They're kind of like shaped like a elongated stop sign, and they slap them all over this tank, right? And they had like night vision. And the night vision, you could see it rolling, and even the heat from the engine, because that's what's kind of giving it off. But then they turned that thing on, and it just literally disappeared. Like, you can't even see it. It's like you're seeing right through it. And it's a tank, a big-ass Abrams tank. So that technology, too. But, again, it's pretty crazy to think if they got light bending technology like that. I've always said that, if the military went to the old style technology that Ford, the car maker, he actually made a car that had used hemp fibers within the plastic system of it, which is actually stronger than steel. And he was taking, like, there's an old video of him or somebody, and he's taking a sledgehammer and he's pounding the shit out of the car. The old car, it looks like an old Model A kind of vehicle, and he just pounding the shit out of it and just bouncing, didn't leave a scar on it, didn't leave nothing. And that thing could be lightweight, indestructible like that. You know how much money you could save on repairs or something like that?
Yeah, that's
for the military.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, right? Is that Roswell tech too, where they said like the memory metal or whatever and all this stuff? I mean, yeah, that's amazing. Like, if that stuff actually exists, it would be part of this game-changing paradigm, right? Where the technology would never be the same again. Car crashes would just bounce off of each other. Crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, I played with metal that kind of does the same thing. Where you can't like crush it up as a paper, but you can bend it pretty good. But it's a softer metal. And you can actually bend it with your hands in any kind of shape you want. But then you can actually, if you push on it and flatten it out, you can actually flatten it out as well. It's more of aluminum than, I would say, stainless or any kind of steel. But still, I mean, there's some pliable material that are out there that, it's always going to come out through the military firstly. I've always said that, in military applications is, if they can get something like that, they're always going to use it. And it's, the thing about it is, though, I really want to believe some of the stuff that the military is coming out with, but like, they show it through the flare and stuff like that. But the thing about it is I want to see the whole video because they're flipping through because those cameras, I tell you, on H-60 helicopters I worked on, they had we use those on aircraft carriers and everywhere. But the H-60s that we use, they had the flare on the front, right? And they weren't always used. You'd actually have to attach them and help these guys in another shop, the ATs, attach them to the aircraft, and they would hang on the bottom. Some of them, the old style, would sit on top of a platform and then look around. The newer ones, they hung underneath the platform. And, we had to go do testings on them. And I was in there a few times where they were flipping through. So they could go to, like, night vision, do, like heat vision, where it's just plain heat. It's weird looking. It's a weird looking screen. Then you have the night vision again, and then you had like the FLIR, so everything, and then you can actually flip it towards you could see like like it's a real camera, like all color, and then zoom in. So we were zooming that shit in, just messing around. We zoomed it. The guys are like on the flight line. That's like I'm talking like a couple miles down, so it's even to like a quarter mile, and that thing kind of zoom in on a quarter, so I'd like to see all the film with that. Those things are real because I just don't want to see, like I said, the FLIR screen or the night vision, because that you can get some, video games that look almost completely real with some of that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And like you said, like there's just a lot of stuff that kind of comes out that it just seems like it doesn't match with what would be, like actual extraterrestrial stuff. Like you said, with those FLIR videos with the initial Tic Tacs and stuff. Like you said, like the audio there seemed a little bit not Right. They're like, whoa, bro, it's a fucking UFO, right? I mean, they literally said that in the video, and you're like, does that really go on in like the naval aviators type world? You know, I would imagine probably not.
No, I mean, especially okay. So this is the thing. So like when I look at some of those videos, okay, when the first one came out, I was like, okay, maybe. But then the other ones were the pilots of Tic Tac, or the other one they called, and they were like, oh, dude, did you see that? Oh, laughing and like you know, they're playing a video game. Now, if you do that around, let's say San Diego Naval Base, right, where I was at, North Island, you do that on the tower, you're gonna go up and see the captain of the base. You don't fuck around like that shit. Those got to be open waves, because number one, you also have the airport, the San Diego airport that's right next to it. So those waves all got to be open and clear. You can't just be fucking around, you know, the way they were talking, like dude and laughing and all like, did you see that? Like, no, it's got to be, they're professionals. They might be young men, you know what I mean? Because there are a lot of young men that come out of college and then go into like Naval Academy. So they, you know, I call them younger men, you know, in their young 20s, or, you know, in their, you know, 20s to like early 30s. So they're younger men, you know, yeah, they're like the, you know, the young jock, but whatever. But these, you know, they know the difference. Their professionalism is beyond that, toward, you know, they're not going to be talking like that shit, especially on the airwaves.
Yeah, exactly. With everybody listening, especially like a high profile incident like that, you would expect that not to be the case. I appreciate it, man. Anything else while we got you on the phone tonight?
Oh, no, not. Just wanted to, you know, kind of get my take as usual. So just wish you guys have a good night. And just like the young man said from Oregon, keep your eyes on the sky.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Thank you, Kelly. You're the best. I appreciate the call, man. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right.
Thanks a lot. So there you go. All right, let's go to, if you guys want to be part of the show tonight, we're talking about this stuff that George Knapp just kind of released in the last 3 days, right? This mystery wire stuff. I'll put it up on the screen. You guys can check it out. I'll drop the links in if you guys are just joining us. I know it's kind of a long show, so if you kind of jump in halfway through, you don't know what's going on. So I'll put the links up again. This is from the mysterywire.com. This is George Knapp's website, and he reported this stuff. Some actual photographs have come out of these UAPs or whatever they are, right? One's called the sphere, the one on the top there. It's like shaped like you would expect, like a sphere. There's another one called the acorn, which has been kind of ridiculed as a Batman balloon. And there's a third one that's called the metallic blimp. And that one to me looks totally metallic and different from these other two entirely. So interesting stuff. Like I said, the more of this that comes out is good, in my opinion. You know, what we do with this is up to us, of course. You know, some of us have different levels of understanding of these things, and that's why we get together and talk about it. Let's see. Matt says, the cloaking thing I saw only works for observers in one narrow direction. Oh, I see. Okay. Like it's only cloaked if you look straight at it, bend your neck a little, and it comes back into view. Okay, I see. Interesting. Axel says, I was thinking the same way. F-18s have to have better optics than the weapons guy's iPhone, and that's the unfortunate part. Is it's bizarre to me that we're actually allowing this to be part of the to be released as an iPhone photo, right? I mean, clearly they're not going to give us radar data and stuff like that, but like, why would you allow this to be released on an iPhone? But not give us like a little bit better look at this. So anyway, let's go to we got. If you want to be part of the show tonight, we're talking about this stuff. These photographs that just recently came out. Jeremy Corbell also released that triangle or pyramid in the sky today. So the last 3 days have been pretty exciting for new information regarding UFOs, UAPs in the sky. What is this stuff? Looking to hear from you again. As always, your takes are better than mine. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link. You can find the phone number and the Discord at troubledminds.org. Let's go to John in Facebook jail. What's up, John? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Hey, man. How you doing? I'm all right tonight.
Doing good. What do you think about all this UFO stuff? You think it's so much ado about nothing, or you think the aliens are here?
Well, there's been a couple advances that have come out, and the metal blimp that everyone's talking about looks really similar to the Lockheed Martin transport blimp. If you've seen that come out, it's like a giant airship.
I have not.
Have you looked at that recently?
I have not. I'll actually pull it up right now, but continue. Lockheed Martin, what's it called?
It's a Lockheed Martin hybrid airship. It's pretty close. They have a couple different designs for the airship, and it's basically a slow-moving transport, like a military transport. And then you had that triangular one that, like, looking up from underneath of it, and that looks just like an avant-garde missile. Because what people don't, I don't know if you can show that missile. Yeah, see, there you go. The Lockheed Martin airship. It kind of looks, you see that like middle one right there? That's what I think it kind of looks like.
Yeah, so we're talking about this picture on the bottom here. Let's make that full screen. So we're talking about that and this right here. The one in the middle there, you said, kind of like this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so there we go. So we got a couple, if you guys are watching the stream, maybe some different looks here on what this might be. But okay, so this is that's a good take on this. Maybe this is what they're seeing. Maybe not. That's a good take. I have no idea. You tell me. So I think the weird thing is they said that it hovered in one spot for about 90 minutes, aside from the wind, and then it just took off. It like just snapped your fingers and it was gone. So there's that part. But anyway, go ahead with the avant-garde missile. Avant-garde, I think it's called.
Yeah. Could you pull up a picture of like the triangle one that you had so we can kind of see?
Yeah, so the full the actual UFO photo, you mean?
Yeah, I think the one that it's like you're looking up from underneath and it's like a perfect triangle.
How about that one? Like the acorn. They call that one the acorn, I think.
It might have been. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, I got you. This one. This is the one that Kelly shared, actually. So this was not the George Knapp share today. This was one that Kelly shared in the chat. But yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about. But go ahead. I got his Kelly's image up there.
Yeah. So to me, that looks like one of the Russian avant-garde missiles because here's two things. One being it has a very small trail coming out from behind it, and the avant-garde missile actually does not use much propulsion because it's a hypersonic glide vehicle. So there's very little propulsion, which would explain the lack of a real thick trail there. If you look at the picture, I think I sent you a couple, but the avant-garde missile, there it is right there, and that is a nuclear missile capable of going 27 times the speed of sound. So it would cause a wake just off of the air displacement that's behind it.
Yeah, so these
it has that triangular shape.
Yeah, so this is the much hypersonic missile is what they're talking about here, and this is so not only can it have a payload, it doesn't even need a nuclear payload because it's all kinetic energy in most cases. So you could like slam this sucker down from way up on high. They launch it straight up in a rocket and it comes down like a glider. And it's so heavy and dense, just the kinetic impact of this thing hitting the ground would be even equal or similar to a nuclear blast in some cases. So, yeah, that's what this is. That's what this technology is, as far as I understand it, just as we've talked about this in the past. But, yeah, I mean, but you're completely right here. I think given this triangular-like thing, it looks like that's what it might be. And the way that the technology does work, it goes up in a rocket, rocket breaks apart, this thing unfolds out of it, and then they're able to control basically where it lands, right? And it's ugly when these things hit. Mach 27 and super, super heavy and dense. That's bad news.
And it carries a 2 megaton warhead on the top of it just for extra punch.
Right.
Now, with all the posturing that's happening in Crimea, I think that they might be kind of showing, a little support there. Well, not really support. I think they're just kind of flexing their muscles a ton and showing the world, hey, we can send these anywhere. And that's kind of what they're doing, trying to make it known because this isn't moving that fast. And the way it's pitched, like when they shoot these missiles off to get to Mach 27, it has a lower base trajectory. It's not so flat. Like they wanted people to take pictures of that.
Yeah, so I think that's part of it too. Why we do it and talk about these things is because you never know what part of this is. Like you said, maybe let's leak some information that will get into the press, that will get reported as maybe UFOs, and Russia sees it and goes, "Oh shit!" Right? Like they have this stuff, or vice versa. You know, it is posturing. I think there's kind of a big game here of showmanship between adversaries in geopolitics here. But that's the scary part. Like if these are like literally doomsday type weapons, if you rain a bunch of these on major cities, it's literally a screwed city. Terrible stuff. I don't know where Kelly got this photo, but this is a great photograph there with this triangle with the contrail or whatever that's called. But yeah, crazy stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they caught this missile, because whenever you see like launch videos that are supposedly avant-garde missiles, it's never an avant-garde missile. It's one of their other hypersonic missiles that they shoot off. They've never shot this off on camera. So the fact that they have this photo right here, and if you just know a little bit about Russian missiles, like you can't, like it's hard to deny that that's not, you know what I mean? Like it's completely flat on bottom. It's huge. The avant-garde missile is huge. It's there to show off. To me, it's really hard not to look at it as that ballistic missile being shot around out there.
Yeah, so we've been actually talking about that for a couple of years on this show. There were some UFO reports, I want to say probably a year and a half ago maybe, that we were looking at, and it appeared to be, they were in China actually, and it appeared to be, to our eyes, when we discussed it then, is that it looked like a hypersonic missile test. But it got reported a whole bunch in the media as a UFO sighting, right? So interesting how these things kind of conflate with each other, and we end up talking about one thing when it's possibly something else entirely, which of course would be the media, the press, and whatever, Operation Mockingbird covering all this stuff up, or spinning it particular ways. But yeah, this is nuts. And so this is just the stuff we know about these hypersonic weapons. What's that? There's supposedly one the Russians have that's like an underwater nuke that's supposed to just throw like a tsunami on the coast, something like that.
The Poseidon.
Yeah, the Poseidon. Yeah. I mean, that's scary stuff, right? I mean, like I said, it's definitely doomsday. You pop off a couple of those on the coastal, a highly populated coast, and it's sick stuff.
Yeah, it really is. When if you look at the avant-garde missile, what they usually show is the Kinzhal missile shooting out of the ground, and call it the avant-garde, but it's not. And I think I sent you a picture of the Poseidon missile that they have now, and it's on most of their subs. One of them is the Magadan, has 6 Poseidon missiles. It is in the middle of the Pacific right now, and the Poseidon missiles, they said they're strong enough to cause massive earthquakes. If they hit California with one of those, like just the beach, it would cause massive earthquakes all the way through central United States. So there's a lot of posturing happening right now because of Ukraine. Everyone's showing off all their nukes and all their cool toys and stuff. And I feel like a lot of the UFO talk that we have right now, like some of it could very well be UFOs, but I think a lot of it right now is the government showing off all of their, nuclear arms to each other as a way to like prevent a war.
Yeah, the old what would you call it? What was the Reagan policy in the 80s?
Mutually assured destruction.
There you go, mutually assured destruction. That's what I was looking for. So John here sent me a whole bunch of cool graphics here. I'm putting them up on the screen here with the Poseidon and the avant-garde missile and some of these other things. I don't know. I think you're right. I think there's probably a whole lot of posturing going on, like we were saying a couple days ago when you called in. With China and Taiwan and Hong Kong, and then we have Crimea going on with the Ukraine and Russia. I mean, there's a lot of possible takeovers kind of on the table here, and it's going to test the will of some people. Let's put it that way. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, right? So, as always, be wary, keep your eyes out there on what's going on, and don't believe the media, all that good stuff. Fantastic call as always, John. Anything else while we got you on?
No, man. I'm just going to keep watching and see what happens. And if I see anything, I'll tell you. So keep in communication.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You know where to find us. I know where to find you in Facebook jail.
That's it. That's it. Smuggle me a cell phone.
There you go. Have a good night, John. Thanks for the call. Always a funny dude. All right. So we got a few more minutes left if you guys want to be part of the show tonight. And I think this is part of why we should talk about this, is that there's something going on in the UFO community with a bunch of these things being released in the last 3 days, right? With again, George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. I'm going to link these things again. Like I said, I'm going to link them back in the chat in just a sec to make sure you guys all have know where I got this information from. Okay, I want you to know and be able to follow up on this stuff. But again, with all this this posturing, just like John was saying, is that you end up having the media play a role in these sorts of things by actually reporting things specifically, right? By helping with the propaganda, by helping with the disinformation to go overseas. So who knows, right? Who knows if even most of this stuff is aimed at us or the UFO community, right? Maybe it's just kind of intentionally leaked to get into the press. So that the international press picks it up, and then the intelligence agencies over there see it and say, "Oh shit!" Right? It could be. I think it very well could be. So what's up? Shout out to we got Kate, we got Penny in the chat. Well, thanks for showing up tonight, guys. I didn't say hi to Penny earlier. So what's up? How you doing? We got Ted. Hello. We got NS. Let's see. We got Matt over there. We got Chloroform's good. Very interesting stuff. We got Axel over there. We got Mark in the chat. We got Darius. Moo, what's up, Darius? How you doing? Matt says, yeah, Kelly's photo is close to what I saw. You like that triangle. Okay. Yeah, good stuff. We got Brian. Thanks for being here tonight. And yeah, great call, Matt. Great call, everybody tonight. Fantastic takes, as always, which again, right? You get a bunch of people together and you end up with a bunch of fantastic information. So few minutes left, about 10 minutes left if you guys want to be part of the show tonight. 702-957-1037. What do you think these things are? Me, I'm on the fence. I don't know. Without seeing more data, some of these still images from like a cell phone camera in a cockpit of a plane, it's good. It's good information. I think it's things that we need to see. I think we need to kind of put it in our data banks. But as far as, UFOs and aliens and these types of things, I'm not so sure. I'm not sold on that, especially with these types of things when they come out of the military and, military sources and things like this. It asks, there's some questions that need to be asked regarding the George Knapp stuff, right? Just specifically that he got this information from his contacts, which is all fine and well. So if it's been approved for release, why are we again releasing cell phone footage from the cockpit of a fighter jet? I think that's really one of the questions here. But and then why do these things look so incredibly different, right? One looks spherical and you can almost kind of see through it, right? Translucent a little bit. This one that looks like they call it the Batman balloon facetiously, but this thing, they call it the acorn in this article. This one is not. It's not translucent in any way. It's opaque. You cannot see through it. But neither of those look metallic. Okay, but then the bottom one, the metallic blimp, this thing looks incredibly metallic. This thing looks like like I said, anybody watch that old show Ultraman? It looks like Ultraman's head to me. Right? You guys remember that thing where he did like the cross with his arms and shot like the soap suds? They were supposed to be lasers or whatever back in the day. There you go. Anyway, all right, let's we got one more call. Let's again, time for you guys if you love to hear your take on this. 702-957-1037. Still talking about these photographs from Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp that were just released in the last couple of days. What is this stuff to you? Is it again, like John said, great takes there? Are these hypersonic missiles? Is it like Matt called and said that maybe there's some sort of a testing going on with cloaking technology or some sort like this? Who knows? Is it like MJ said? What's up, MJ, in the chat? I see you over there. Like he suggested, it's bending light, and this is the type of stuff they're using. Who knows, right? There's tons of stuff that's really kind of all over the place here with some of the stuff. Matthew says from YouTube says that the Knapp and Corbell stuff is from 2019. Yeah, that's when it happened exactly, and it's just releasing now. So anyway, here we go. Let's go to Beechwood in Massachusetts. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. How are you, my friend?
Oh, it's doing good. was a good show. I was listening to UFO Joe. It was some cool pictures that got released. It's, with the missiles, that makes sense for some of them when you look at it and you compare the pictures and you view the way they fly. Things that are spherical, though, because, like one's a sphere. I just question, like, how it moves without some sort of different technology than propulsion, because, like, round objects just don't actually travel good through the air. They wobble. There's no way to really control them. Like, you look at old muskets and stuff, and a musket ball goes all over the place. Golf balls have the dimples in them to try to keep it straight. So it makes more sense for something to be, like, elongated, like the plane. Like the missile, the triangle one kind of looks like a missile. What it would be for, I would say just, fair for the public. I don't understand the point of you wanting to use a nuclear bomb. You can't use what you blow up. Like, you ruin what you blow up. So it's, like, pointless.
Yeah, and the nuclear fallout, and we saw that happen firsthand. Yeah.
It's a complete waste. It's just not logical unless you're just fine with destroying an area and never going back there again. But I like that he was open to the possible interdimensional type travel, and I do believe it's possible. If you told someone 100 years ago you could break down a photograph and send it through the air and it would break down to 1 billion little pixels and then it would get put back together, they would tell you were nuts. And, with cloaking technology, I would probably that was the thing that would, like, least surprise me the most to be released, that it's possible. And there's probably a few different ways to do it. There may even be, like a paint type substance that, almost acts like a round mirror and just creates almost an illusion of the cloaking device. Because that's such a common thing that people say with reports, and it's not really a new thing. Like, I saw it there, and it just disappeared into thin air. And it could be us testing technology. It could be a malfunction. It could be an alien craft that was here and had a malfunction. The cloaking device went down. But, it's definitely a step in the right direction, some cool information. But the cloaking thing, I bet you see that, in the, like, release to the mainstream public, that there's capabilities of that.
Yeah, and this, I don't know. There's so much going on in world politics, geopolitics, like John was saying there, that you never know. A lot of this stuff could be posturing. Could be, maybe they allowed it to be released in the press now for, different reasons that, again, has nothing to do with the UFO community or the people that are interested in these things. So, have to keep an open mind with these things, because you just never know what's really going on between the gamesmanship between these countries and all this other stuff. So that's why I'm more apt to believe some of this stuff is, some of that plasma spoofing or some of this other things. It just doesn't seem like, without more data, without seeing the thing actually, hover in midair and then dart off like a UFO has been described to do, that these things are maybe more terrestrial. I'm leaning toward that right now just because I need more data, right? As always, I think we should probably always ask for more data.
That does make sense. And I feel like you would maybe see more of them get shot down and hear about it more. But, it was a good show. That's all I really had. I was on the road listening to the show tonight. I got home late, but I had some weird stuff happen last night after the show. I heard the dogs running around upstairs like nuts, so I went to go look to see what was up there, and I went up there, and they were sound asleep on the couch. What? And I felt them, and I could tell they were sleeping. They had the squishy face, so it was, I don't know, I hallucinated the dogs running around or something.
That's weird. It
freaked me out.
After the pet show, after the do pets have 6 cents. Oh boy. Well, put up one of them cameras, like a GoPro, and let's see what's actually going on.
I'm gonna have to.
All right, cool. I appreciate you calling, man. Thanks for listening. If you guys have not, again, please follow UFO Joe. UFOJoe.net is his blog, at the UFO Joe on Twitter. Like I said, if you're interested in this type of stuff, he's all over it, and this is where a lot of the information comes from that we talk about on this show. Like I pay attention to what he's doing, and if he's like kind of all over something like this George Knapp stuff, then I'm going to pay attention to it too. So there you go. Kate says an out of doggy body experience.
Yeah. But awesome. All right, I'll definitely follow that. And I suck at using the phone, but I'm gonna sub up to the channel again. I gotta go get a credit card. I lost my debit card, so I just never got a new one, and it was better that way.
Yeah, right.
But
I feel you there.
I'll be doing that soon.
Okay.
But thanks for having me on. Awesome show.
Pleasure's ours, man. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. We'll talk to you soon. That's Beechwood from Massachusetts, guys. Great calls tonight, as always. I appreciate all of the interest in the show. I appreciate all you guys out there listening in the chat and chatting it up and sharing good information. And, of course, the phone calls that really make this show go around. As you all know, that's why we've always done it live, to include you. And I thank you so much for being part of this. It makes it a ton easier and just a ton more interesting. Me yammering on like that substitute teacher is just not as interesting. I'm sorry. It just is not. So we're at the end of the week. It's Thursday night. This is the last show of the week. We do have conspiracy news coming back soon. I'm not sure exactly when. I got to get that, make sure we're set up for the camera and all that stuff. But we'll be back on Twitch shortly. And then I'll announce all that on Discord. So if you guys want to be a part of this and know what's happening at the very latest, join the Discord. Go to troubledminds.org, click the Discord link, and get your ass in there. Lots of great people sharing lots of great links and all kinds of stuff. Join the Fringe Discord too. Lots of good stuff going on in there as well. Now, fringe.fm/chat, and that'll take you directly there. All right, so as we finish, let's smash this button. Let's smash the outro button, which will be, how about this? Let's do that one. Turn it down a smidge. And all right, so at the end of tonight, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and this is what we do, right? We get together and we pay attention to the news and try and stay up to date with what is actually happening out there. And due to good work like Jeremy Corbell in this instance, George Knapp, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff to think about, and there it is. Reading the chat, catching up. Let's see. So we'll possibly do a Friday show, looking to add one, and for people that are subbed up, we'll do like a private show and do like an extra show per week for the people that have subbed up and actually sending us some cash money for the month, like you guys have done on Twitch and some other things. So we'll get that set up, and it's coming. All that stuff's coming. Like I said, I'm working on the website. Lots of stuff to do. I only got two hands. Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you soon. Have a fantastic weekend. Do all the things. Share the show. Leave us reviews if you can on iTunes. That does help a lot. For all the people, we have thousands of people listening to this show. I see the downloads. Thousands and thousands of people. And we only have like 35 iTunes reviews. So if you guys want to help, go leave us an iTunes review. If you're still here right now, it means you probably like this show. And thank you for being here. So there we go. Thanks, guys. Be sure, be strong, be true. Take care of yourself so you can take care of others. Thank you for listening. Have a great weekend. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.